Your eyelids open before your phone does. The room is a cool pocket of quiet. Your tongue is dry, your shoulders already a little tense, like you were clenching in your sleep. Images arrive uninvited, unread messages, the meeting where you'll need to sound certain, the bill that still needs paying. Your hand floats toward the glowing rectangle on the nightstand as if magnetized. Heart rate up, breath shallow. A subtle unease spreads across your chest, a low-grade static hiss that says, hurry, perform, prove. In 30 seconds, you could be lost in other people's urgency, scrolling through lives you're not living, negotiating a day that hasn't begun. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. By noon today, you'll be unshakable, not because the world went quiet, but because you built a morning that locks in resilience. You'll learn a simple protocol that steals blood flow back from fear, primes your focus network, and gives you a lever you can actually pull. You won't need perfect discipline. You'll need one small container, 3 moves, and 90 seconds of honest attention. Start by noticing how your breath is behaving. Don't change it yet. Just feel the temperature of the air over your upper lip, the rise under your collarbones, the weight of the blanket. When your mind tries to sprint into the day, let it tug at the leash and then return to sensation. That tug is your amygdala pitching a story, and for once, you're not buying the first draft. There is power in this pause because your prefrontal cortex cannot lead if you hand the microphone to panic. Without any philosophy, you're making a tiny neurological decision. Cue the calm circuit first. We call the framework the dawn container. It's a boundary you build around your first 5 minutes, a small sanctuary where nothing else is allowed to set your state. No messages, no metrics, no mirrors of other people's moods. The science is friendly here. Your reticular activating system decides what to notice based on recent signals. If the first signal is chaos, it hunts for more. If the first signal is presence, it finds anchors. The dawn container tells your brain, this is our channel. It's not about productivity, it's about sovereignty of attention. Within this container, you'll run a micro-sequence called the 3x3 morning stack. 3 breaths, 3 lines, 3 steps. It sounds almost too simple. That's the point. Rituals work because they are repeatable under pressure, not because they are impressive. Breathe the first 3 with a 4-4-6 pattern. Inhale through the nose for 4, pause for 4, exhale for 6. The longer exhale leans on your vagus nerve, nudging your heart to slow and your thinking to widen. Do it now. Count softly in your mind. 4 in, hold, 6 out. Notice the small muscular release at the base of your neck on the 3rd exhale. Notice the warmth in your chest spreading like a hand unclenching. You're not trying to delete the day. You're priming signal quality. The second move is 3 lines, and it is not a gratitude list you'll forget by coffee. It's a precision tool called the Today Triangle. First line, name your weather in 1 sentence, exactly as it is, no judgment. Today's weather, anxious drizzle with a chance of spikes around 10 a.m. Second line, name your North Star for the next 4 hours in 9 words or fewer. North Star, calm presence while preparing the deck and reply. Third line, name your smallest wise action that can be done in 2 minutes or less. Smallest wise action, open deck, bold the 3 key points. When you write these lines, you are training your brain's search function. The amygdala wants to scan for threats. The prefrontal cortex wants a plan. The triangle tells threat, we heard you, and tells plan, here's the doorway. It's not manifesting, it's menus for the mind. The third move is 3 steps, literally. Bare feet on the floor, stand. Take 3 slow steps to the nearest window or doorway. Feel the ground, your proprioception system, the body's map of where you are feeds stability into your perception. Open the curtain. Light hits your retina and confirms to your circadian clock. We're awake, we can start clearing fog. If there's no window, touch cool water. Rinse your face, wrists, and back of neck. It's a simple reset of temperature sensors that quietly tells your physiology that you can handle a change. You're teaching your body to meet stimulus without flinching. In a fluorescent conference room 2 floors above a bakery, Arif used to lose his morning before he arrived. He'd wake to the red badge count, stumble into coffee, and by 9:10 he'd already apologized twice for being behind. One Tuesday, he tried the dawn container. He left the phone on airplane mode and breathed his 3 breaths while listening to the pre-dawn rain on the tin awning outside his Jakarta apartment. He wrote his triangle, naming humid impatience as the weather, calm questions in the kickoff as the North Star, and open the project brief highlight the client's verb as the smallest wise action. He touched the cool kitchen sink, then stepped to the window. 20 minutes later in that conference room, when tension started to climb, the client pressed, the timeline squeezed. He asked one clear question. If we could only deliver one thing by Friday that moves your goal, what would it be? The room exhaled. It didn't make the week easy, but Arif's center shifted from pleasing everyone to steering toward the need. By noon, he was unshaken, not because the pressure wasn't there, but because he had already chosen how to meet it. As you read this, sense your jaw and let it slacken 2 millimeters. Soften the tiny muscles around your eyes. Feel the weight of your tongue in your mouth. These are quiet doorways into your parasympathetic system. When you toggle them, your brain chemistry follows. This is not magic, it's leverage. You decide which channel you open before the world starts shouting. That choice, made in minutes, echoes at noon when the day tests your edges. If you don't build the container, the world will build it for you, and its walls will be made of urgency with no doors. You might worry that you'll fail once and abandon the whole thing. That's the old perfectionist program trying to keep control, so bake forgiveness into the ritual. The dawn container includes a clause called the 90-second weather rule. If you slip and touch the phone, or if worry slams into you like a wave, you don't start over, you watch. 90 seconds of pure observation, no editing, no verdict. Label the sensations like a meteorologist. Pressure behind sternum, pins in palms. Heat in the cheeks, thoughts racing in headlines, not novels. After 90 seconds, run the stack anyway. The emotion will have already peaked and started to fall. You are the awareness, not the emotion, and awareness holds the reins. Let's tie the science gently to the habit. When you lengthen the exhale, your vagal brake engages, reducing heart rate variability volatility. Your prefrontal cortex regains glucose flow and reclaims working memory. When you articulate the today triangle, you're feeding your reticular system a query, like typing into a search bar, so it highlights cues that match your intention. When you stand and move toward light or cool water, you're giving your hypothalamus a time-of-day anchor and your cerebellum a stability signal. None of these systems need a lecture, they need cues. Your morning ritual is a curated stream of cues. Notice the air now. Is it cool on the inhale? Can you feel the warmth pooling behind your sternum on the exhale? Notice the micro-tension in your calves, the way your shoulders want to creep upward when you think of a name or a task. Let them drop. You are making the habit physical. Thoughts ride on sensation. When you stabilize the platform, the thoughts stop sliding. There's a myth that resilience is a personality trait, a kind of fixed armor some people are born with. More often, it's a set of low-friction defaults that protect and feed your capacity before stress arrives. That's why we aim to be unstoppable by noon, not invincible forever. Noon is where many people break. The early fire drills, the caffeine fade, the mid-morning miscommunication that stings. If you stack the first hour with the right signals, noon becomes your proof point. You will handle pressure with a cleaner mind because you taught your brain how the day begins. Picture yourself tomorrow morning. The room is dim, the city hum is faint, maybe birds, maybe distant scooters. Your phone rests face down not because you're above it, but because you're training it to be a tool again. Breath in for 4, hold 4, out for 6. You feel the corners of your mouth release. You write your 3 lines on a card that lives on the nightstand. Weather honest, North Star clear, smallest wise action laughably small. You stand, the floor is cool. You step toward light and watch the color of the room shift. You don't try to wrestle your thoughts to the ground. You give them a lane. Then, without ceremony, you do the 2-minute action you named. You bold the 3 points. You ask your future self at noon to notice how different your body will feel. You won't be glowing with inspiration. You'll be steady. Steady is what wins when everything else wobbles. Remember Arif. Remember the quiet metal sink and the rain, the way one question changed the meeting's gravity. Your version will look different. Maybe it's a toddler who wakes early, or a dog that noses your palm, or a bus schedule that refuses to love you back. The dawn container can flex. If you only have 3 minutes, breathe once, write 1 line, take 1 step to light. If the phone must be on because of caregiving or work, put it on Do Not Disturb except for critical numbers and place it out of reach for 5 minutes. The ritual is built to survive real life. The point is not obedience, it's ownership. Right now, test your nervous system. Pinch your shoulder blades together and release. Roll your ankles. Take a slow sip of water and feel the temperature trace your throat. Are you here? Good. That presence you just touched is what carries forward. By noon, meetings will have happened, messages will have multiplied, and someone will be late. You will not be. You will be on time to your own mind. You will remember the 90-second weather rule when a spike hits at 11:37. You will name the weather. You will return to the smallest wise action. You will be the awareness that chooses, not the storm that drags. This is not about morning routines as status symbols. It's about building a shelter where your best self can wake up before the world tells it who to be. It's about treating your attention like a living thing that needs clear water and sunlight. It's about the soft discipline that feels like kindness because it is. Unstoppable by noon is not a dare. It's a design. You're designing a morning that locks in resilience. And tomorrow, when your body remembers the cue of cool water, when your hand hovers above the phone and then decides differently, you'll feel it. A small, quiet pride. The kind that accumulates. The kind that holds. Breathe one more 4-4-6 with me. In for 4, hold 4, out for 6. You just rehearsed your first minute. You have the framework, you have the stack. Tonight, place a pen and a small card where you'll see it. In the morning, build the container. At noon, notice. And when the old program tries to argue, smile and let it talk while you do the next small wise thing. You don't have to crush the day. You just have to start it with your hands on the steering wheel. You already know how. You've built the dawn container and felt your day tilt differently. Now you'll upgrade the container's walls so they hold when real life leans on them. This is where environment becomes your silent coach. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer frictions for the right actions and more frictions for the wrong ones. Call this the friction sculptor. You'll shape the path your future self walks at 6:45 a.m. so it almost trips into wise behavior. The brain loves cues and hates effort. Even a zipper can be too much, so you make the zipper point in the direction you want to go. Picture the room where you wake. Before sleep tonight, you'll set 3 objects like chess pieces. Your breath card for the 3x3 morning stack goes on the pillow after you brush your teeth, so you must move it to lie down. Your water glass sits within arm's reach, not hidden behind books. Your phone lands face down in a different room, or at least in a drawer, with a charging cable that's annoyingly short. You're not aiming for perfection. You're making the default obvious. In the morning, touch the card, drink the water, feel the little tug of inconvenience when your hand hunts for the phone and finds nothing. That tiny delay is the wedge you need. The amygdala's story loses half its speed before it starts. That's the first framework, the two-room mind. In room 1, your survival brain writes gritty headlines. In room 2, your executive brain chooses the next small wise thing. Your environment decides which door opens first. When your phone is within thumb reach, room 1 throws it open. When light and water greet you, room 2 meets you at the threshold. You're not banishing room 1, it's part of you. You're giving room 2 right of way. Neuroscience translation. Fewer hot cues reduce impulsive loops and free glucose for deliberate action. Practice translation. Make the helpful cues loud and the unhelpful cues whisper. Feel your body as you imagine rearranging the space. Notice your shoulders ease when you picture the phone out of reach. Notice the coolness in your hands as you imagine the morning glass of water. Your nervous system registers these previews. You're rehearsing success in your sensory language, not just your thoughts. That rehearsal matters. The brain encodes repeated previews as familiarity, and what feels familiar becomes easier to start. The second framework is the anchor then align. An anchor is the first non-negotiable minute. Alignment is the sequence that follows it without decision-making. You already have a seed of this in your 3x3 morning stack. We'll weld it tighter. Your anchor is a single behavior you can do even on your worst morning. Sit on the edge of the bed and place your feet flat for 10 seconds, then breathe 1-4-4-6. No choices. The alignment is a preloaded path. Stand, open the curtain, write today's weather North Star's smallest wise action, then do that action right away. You aren't debating whether to journal or stretch or read. You pre-decided last night. Removing micro-choices protects the fragile bridge between intention and motion. Layla learned the hard way that mornings collapse where decisions multiply. She's an architect who loved the idea of elaborate rituals, frothed matcha, sun salutations, a gratitude paragraph written with a fountain pen that had to be filled every third day. It was beautiful and brittle. When deadlines stacked, the ritual shattered and the phone won. One Friday, after a panicked week, she tried anchor then align. She set her anchor as sit, feet down, one breath, taped a card to the window latch that said, weather star smallest, and placed her headphones on the counter next to her keys with a playlist called Calm Focus 9 Minutes. In the morning she sat, breathed, opened the curtain, wrote stormy with bright breaks, kind clarity on materials call, open the drawings file. Then she put on the headphones and started the file. She wasn't glowing, she was moving. By noon, when a supplier emailed a snippy note, her body remembered the morning's rhythm and didn't spike as high. She replied with a straight question. The loop had changed. Right now, scan your body. Sense the temperature at your kneecaps, the subtle weight of your spine against the chair or mattress, the quiet hum in your ears. These details are your reset buttons. When your thoughts start sprinting ahead, you can press any one and re-enter room 2. The more often you do this in the morning, the more your reticular system flags similar cues later. That's how the ritual stacks resilience by noon. You prime your attention to find presence the way some people prime their attention to find panic. The science behind friction is simple and generous. Habits ride on context. Each object in sight peaks a microsurge of dopamine if it's tied to a past win, or doom if it's tied to a past loop you regret. When you move the object, rename it, or pair it with a new sequence, you redraw the brain's associations. That's neuroplasticity in denim, not a lecture. Sliding the phone into a drawer is not about morality. It's about interrupting a cue-reward script long enough for your wiser pathway to light up. Putting a pen and card where your hand lands is not about being quaint. It's about lifting the startup cost to near zero so you can begin before your doubts get a vote. Use a micro drill called the 2-minute trail. Tonight, walk the exact path your half-asleep self will walk tomorrow. From bed to water to window to card to the smallest wise action. Move anything that snags you. Shoes in the wrong spot, shift them. Mail that will lure you into bills at 6 and 10 a.m., stack it somewhere you can't see. Add one tiny delight to the trail, a scent you like, a small lamp with warm light, a song that starts soft. You're teaching your brain that the path of presence feels good. Pleasure is not the enemy of discipline. It's the lubricant that lets discipline slide into place without squeak and friction burn. Notice your breath again. Is it shallow now that you're imagining all these tweaks? Lengthen the exhale quietly, like fogging a window without sound. Feel the ribcage widen sideways, not just lift. Feel the skin on your forearms cool as air moves. You're practicing the anchor right here, a single breath that returns you to choice. You can carry it into an elevator, a line at a cafe, the pause before you open an email that scares you. You are the awareness, not the email. There's a hidden trap in morning design, turning it into a performance. You start comparing your ritual to an influencer's pristine sunrise and feel small. That's a borrowed standard, and it ruins the point. The point is to lower cognitive load at the start so you can lift more later. Keep rituals sturdy and unpretty if you must. Tape the card to a cereal box. Keep a pencil that writes even when the tip is dull. Make the environment feel like a friend who shows up in sweatpants, not a stranger in a tux who judges your socks. Another tool, the momentum minute. After you do the smallest wise action you wrote, add 60 seconds of drift-free focus. That's it. Keep working on the same task for 1 extra minute while noticing how your body feels doing it. This stitches your intention to motion with a sensory thread. When noon arrives and you need to re-enter flow after a meeting, your body can recall the sensation of that minute like the scent of a room you've lived in. It's faster than motivation. It's memory. Think of Arif again, different scene. It's a week later and the bus is late. He's standing under a weak awning while Jakarta's rain plays its erratic percussion. People crowd, umbrellas duel for space. Room 1 offers headlines, late again, behind already, they'll think you're unreliable. Arif drops into the anchor, feet flat even on slick pavement, 1446, then the momentum minute with his notes app open, scanning the deck and bolding a phrase. He doesn't crush the commute, he uses it. By the time he walks into the building, the old loop didn't even get a grip. The noon version of him is steadier because the morning version practiced choosing under imperfect weather. As you read, tune your hearing outward. What is the farthest sound you can catch? A distant engine, a bird, the tick of a clock. Then tune it inward, the faint rush in the ear, the tap of your own swallow. You are turning the knob on your attentional dial. This is how you widen your window when pressure narrows it. Do it now, but small, like drawing a circle with the tip of a pencil. You're building the muscle that will hold when a colleague's tone sharpens at 11:20. One more framework for your toolkit: cue, label, replace. When an unhelpful cue fires, phone vibration, anxious thought, the shape of a certain email subject. You label it in words that remove its costume. I'm having the thought that I must answer instantly. Then you replace it with your pre-decided micro-behavior. Breathe once, write the triangle, do the smallest wise action. Over days, the label steals urgency's fuel. Words turn weather into a forecast, not a fate. Your language is a lever. A quick drill to set that lever. Write 3 of your most common morning cues on the back of your card. Buzzing phone, cluttered counter, stomach drop about money, and pair each with a replacement action. No flourish. Just buzz right arrow one breath. Clutter stack it and clear a placemat-sized square. Money thought right arrow right today, pay X or schedule it and stop. You're not solving your whole life at 6:30 a.m. You're preventing a spiral and planting a flag. You can move the mountain after coffee. You secure the ground before you push. Pause now and check the temperature where your feet meet the floor. Curl your toes, then lengthen them. Imagine warmth gathering in your hands like you're holding a mug. Feel your jaw and let it drop one click. The body is part of the environment too. It is the most intimate room you live in. When you treat it as a place, not a problem, mornings soften. The nervous system prefers predictable rituals that don't demand explanation. You may be tempted to go big 30-minute meditations, journaling pages, cold plunges. If that calls to you, you'll get there. But the spine of resilience is built from 2-minute steel beams repeated daily. Anchor then align, the 2-room mind, the friction sculptor, the momentum minute, cue label replace. 5 handholds on the same wall, each reachable with tired hands. You don't need to be proud of them, you need to use them. By noon, what changes? The day still throws elbows, deadlines still drift, people still arrive late. What's different is your slope back to steady. You recover faster, you name the weather. You pick the smallest wise action. You protect the signal of your attention the way a musician protects their hearing, not out of fear, but respect. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for ideal conditions to begin. You begin, and conditions bend. Tonight, set the room. Place the card, shorten the cable, fill the glass, lay the pen, choose the smallest action for tomorrow and stop there. In the morning, don't perform, arrive, sit, feet down, one breath, curtain, triangle, action, momentum minute. Work day begins. The loop will try to reassert itself, it always does. Smile like you've seen this movie and know the plot twist. You are the awareness, not the urge, and you're redesigning the set. Feel the air pass through your nose one more time. Taste a hint of whatever lingers from your last sip. Notice the contact points of your body and the surface beneath you. This is your signature for closing a chapter. You can open a new one in the morning without announcing it to anyone. Let the ritual be small and stubborn. Let it be yours. Unstoppable by noon is not an accident. It's a handful of quiet decisions made in a room that now speaks your language. You've got the container and you've shaped the room. Now you'll wire the morning itself so your brain has the fuel and the rhythm to carry you to noon without burning through resolve. Think of this as building a runway, not a cage. Planes don't leap straight up. They gather speed on something solid. Your solid is a sequence that feeds your neurology in the order it craves: light, water, motion, meaning. We'll call this the Neurofuel Trio plus meaning, or simply the Trio plus. If the dawn container protected your attention, the Trio plus powers it. Start with light, not a blue laser in your eyes, just honest brightness. Within the first 40 minutes, give your retina something to chew on. If there's sun, face it. If there's cloud, face it anyway. If you're indoors, stand by the brightest window or a lamp that feels like morning, not midnight. The physics is dull and the effect is sharp. Light cues your suprachiasmatic nucleus to set the clock that steers cortisol's gentle rise and melatonin's fade. In practice, it means your energy ramps without a jangly edge. While you're here, sip water, not because the internet says so, but because blood without enough fluid moves like traffic in the rain, slower, crankier, and cognition hates congestion. Then move, 3 minutes count, march in place. Slow squats while you breathe 4-4-6. A gentle spinal roll, call this microcircuit the wake loop. One loop, then your triangle, then your smallest wise action. The order matters. Light tells the clock you're safe to wake. Water tells the blood to carry what the brain needs. Motion tells the cerebellum to stabilize the map. Meaning tells the prefrontal cortex what to do with all that stability. Notice the air on your face as you imagine stepping toward that window. Is it cooler than the room? Pay attention to the tiny pull at the corners of your eyes when you look toward brightness. Let your shoulders lower by 1 notch. Feel the slide of water in your throat. This is not performance, it's calibration. Your nervous system memorizes these signatures. Later at 11:05, when tension hums under your ribs, you can recall the morning's light like a scent and widen your mental window by 2 degrees. You are the awareness that can reach back for cues on purpose. Add a second framework called the focus field. It's the space where your first deep work block lives, and it starts inside your calendar and spills onto your desk. The focus field has 4 edges: time, task, tools, and tone. Time, 90 minutes, is a sweet spot for most brains, the length of an ultradian wave where alertness climbs and then dips. Task, one object of attention, stated as a verb and a noun, draft intro paragraph, refactor payment module, design slide sequence. Tools, only what the task actually needs within arm's reach, everything else out of sight. Tone, the felt quality of the field, quiet, warm, focused, not sterile or punitive. You set tone with small signals, a playlist you only use for this block, a lamp that flips on like a stage light, a sticky note with your North Star in 9 words. The focus field reduces the need to redecide who you are every 5 minutes. You step in, and the space tells you. Let's anchor the science gently. When you set a single verb-noun target, you give your reticular system a filter that highlights matching cues and dims irrelevant ones. You're not fighting distraction, you're starving it. When you commit to one 90-minute wave, you ride your natural rhythm instead of trying to be a robot. Your dopamine curve prefers progress and closure over novelty and chaos. Micro-wins inside a bounded time keep the curve smooth. And when you curate the tone, sound, light, even temperature, you send bottom-up signals that say we are safe enough to think. Safety is the soil where focus grows. Maya, the product lead who used to feel like her brain was a browser with too many tabs, almost didn't try the focus field. She liked the adrenaline of multitasking and the status glow of being needed by every ping. But her afternoons were wrecked by decision fatigue. One morning she stacked the Trio Plus, then set a 90-minute block from 8:15 to 9:45 labeled Write User Story Narratives. She put her phone in the hallway, opened one document, set her playlist to a soft instrumental set she called River, and placed a card with her North Star, clear thinking that feels kind, on the corner of her laptop. At 9:46, she stood up feeling not heroic but clean. 3 narratives drafted, 2 questions marked. When a Slack flare-up hit at 11:20, the morning's clean focus left a trace in her body that outlasted the flare. She breathed once, labeled the cue, "I'm having the thought that this is urgent," and returned to her smallest wise action, reply with a clarifying question, not a defensive paragraph. Noon found her steady enough to make a better call. As you think of your own focus field, feel the weight of your device in your hand or the space where it usually lives. Imagine setting it down outside the field. Notice the relief in your forearms, the way your breath loosens when you picture fewer icons. Sense the temperature at the base of your skull where tension collects. Warm it with your attention for 5 seconds. You're shaping tone with sensation. You're teaching your body the feel of the field so you can re-enter it faster after interruptions. Here's a micro drill called the first brick. At the start of the block, set a 2-minute timer and place 1 brick of the task without worrying about quality. If you're writing, type the first messy sentence. If you're debugging, list the 3 most likely failure points. If you're designing, sketch the box where the headline goes. 2 minutes, then keep rolling or stand up for a 10-second shake and continue. The first brick cheats inertia and leverages the brain's need for pattern completion. You've started the wall. Your mind wants to keep stacking. To protect the field, make a simple treaty with the rest of the world called the No Ping Pledge. It's not forever, it's 90 minutes. You tell one person who might need you, heads up, I'm heads down until 9:45. If it's truly urgent, call twice. On your side, you close email and messaging tabs and set 1 physical token, a small stone, a folded card on your desk. When the token is out, you're in the field. When it's away, you're available. It sounds small. Small works because your nervous system loves concrete symbols more than vague vows. The pledge is a social boundary. The token is a sensory boundary. Your body is part of the pledge. During the block, check in at the 45-minute mark with a breath bridge, 2-4-4-6 cycles while keeping your eyes on the same sentence or line of code. This keeps your prefrontal cortex oxygenated without fully exiting the field. At the 90-minute mark, end with a closing ritual. Save, summarize in 1 line what moved, and place your token away. Closure signals safety and tells dopamine the loop is complete. Then you step out, and for 3 minutes, let your attention go wide. Window, hallway, sky. You're rinsing your perceptual palette so the next task doesn't inherit the last one's scent. You may worry that morning motion will steal time from work. Paradox. Movement gives you time back by cleaning the cognitive windshield. A short wake loop reduces the cost of reorienting later because the cerebellum's tuned map feeds smoother planning. Translation. It's cheaper to think after you move. Try a drill called 3 doors. After your triangle, do 12 slow air squats while exhaling long, then 6 push-ups against a wall or counter, then a 20-second hang from a doorframe or a towel over a bar if your shoulders allow. If not, clasp hands and pull gently. You're not training for sport. You're telling your body we move weight and we are safe. The same body will sit at a desk with better posture and better blood flow. Noon thanks you. Feel your hands. Rub thumb against fingertip and notice the ridges. Hear the closest sound, then the farthest. Taste whatever lingers from your last meal or drink. These are your doorway senses. You can step through anyone into presence. Practice now, small and precise. 3 seconds for fingers, 3 for sound, 3 for taste. Presence becomes a habit at the level of sensation before it becomes a habit at the level of thought. There's a trap here, chasing perfect mornings and then crashing when life throws a wrench. So we build resilience into the design with a 3rd framework, the elastic hour. It says your morning ritual expands and contracts without breaking. On a good day, you run the full dawn container, trio plus, focus field, and a clean closing. On a crazy day, kid sick, car issue, early call, you snap to the core, 1 breath, 1 line of the triangle, 1 smallest wise action, 1 minute of movement, then step straight into your day. You log it as a kept promise, not a failure. The elastic hour preserves identity continuity. It keeps you from becoming the person who fell off. and identity continuity is the quiet engine of resilience. Arif hit an elastic hour morning when the elevator jammed and he had to climb 9 flights. He reached his desk sweaty and 10 minutes late to a video call that already buzzed with frustration. Old Arif would have apologized a dozen times and overcompensated by committing to unrealistic tasks. New Arif ran an elastic micro-sequence in the 30 seconds before unmuting. 1-4-4-6 breath with his eyes on the camera light, one line to himself. North Star, clarify scope, one smallest wise action, ask for the single success sentence. Then he opened with, before we jump in, can we agree on success as one sentence? The meeting tightened. His heart rate slowed by minute 6. Noon arrived with energy in the bank instead of debt. Every framework leads back to a simple identity cue. You are the awareness choosing channels. You are not the ping, not the pressure, not the ritual itself. You use rituals the way a pilot uses instruments, moment to moment, with judgment to navigate weather. That identity is built in whispers, not shouts. Each morning you choose the brick over the spiral, the breath over the flinch, the field over the feed. Let's talk about caffeine without turning it into a religion. Use it, don't let it use you. If you can, delay the first cup 40 to 60 minutes after waking, riding your natural cortisol rise instead of stacking a jitter. Pair coffee with water and the wake loop, not with doom scrolling. Notice the smell, the warmth in your hands, the tiny shift in your jaw as you sip. Make the cup part of the tone edge in your focus field, not a rescue rope you yank in panic. If you don't drink caffeine, the same applies to tea, a stretch, a song. Rituals anchor state. They don't save you, they steer you. A final micro drill for this morning wiring, the noon preview. At the end of your first block, close your eyes for 10 seconds and picture your body at 12:00, where you'll be, what you'll hear, what your chest will feel like. Then whisper a sentence to that future you. At noon, we'll still be steady. It might feel corny. It works because your brain stores state-linked images and retrieves them when the clock or environment matches. You'll hit noon with a preloaded template for steadiness. That's not mystic. It's memory plus time cues. Right now, feel your feet again. Cold, warm, neutral. Shift your weight and let your breath spread sideways into your ribs. Let your eyes soften their focus for a few seconds as if looking past the screen. The day will ask you to sharpen soon enough. For this moment, widen. You are the awareness that can adjust the lens. You can choose the field you play on before the game crowds you. Tomorrow morning, run the Trio Plus without ceremony. Light, water, motion. Then write your today triangle, do the smallest wise action and step into the focus field with a first brick. Protect it with the no ping pledge and a token. Ride one wave, close it clean. If chaos visits, elastically snap to the core. If calm visits, enjoy the longer run. Either way, by noon you'll have proof, tangible, felt, that you can steer your state. Proof beats pep talks. Repetition writes identity. Identity drives behavior without shouting. This is not about becoming a morning saint. It's about becoming a reliable partner to your own nervous system. The world will still throw elbows, your attention will still flicker. But these frameworks, the Trio Plus, the focus field, the elastic hour, turn flicker into flame, then into a steady lamp. You'll see the room, you'll see the next step. You'll be on time to your own mind. Take one last 4-4-6. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Feel the small calm after. That's your runway, use it. Mid-morning is where grit meets static. You've launched the day with the Trio Plus, you've placed the first brick, and for a while the world obeys your plan. Then the wobble arrives. A message with a sharp edge. A calendar surprise. a stray comment that lands like a pebble in your shoe and somehow ruins the walk. This is the hour when your inner narrator wants to grab the mic and run old scripts. I'm already behind. I always mess this up. They're disappointed. The story doesn't need to be true to change your chemistry. It just needs to be loud. So this part of the training is not about silence. It's about authorship. You'll learn to flip the voice in your head from critic to coach in seconds, and you'll learn a way to refit any jolt into a useful shape without faking sunshine. Call these two tools the inner coach switch and the three-angle reframe. Together, they turn turbulence into traction. Feel your body right now as if noon is approaching. Notice the subtle dry heat in your mouth, the weight where your skull meets your neck, the way your breathing lives a little too high in your chest when you think of an email you're avoiding. Let your exhale lengthen by half a second. Imagine the air brushing your upper lip as it leaves. That tiny change is your hinge. You're training yourself to locate sensation before sentences. Sentences are weather reports. Sensation is the sky they come from. When you touch the sky, you stop believing every cloud. The inner coach switch starts with a very specific moment, the first sting. You read a phrase, per our last conversation, quick correction, need this sooner, and your body surges. Instead of debating the sender in your head, you switch the voice that speaks next. Picture a literal toggle in your mind, labeled critic on one side, coach on the other. The critic demands certainty and blames your character. The coach asks for the next rep and respects your effort. You flip the toggle by speaking a single sentence out loud or at a whisper, addressed to yourself in the second person. Okay, you're here, breathe once, we'll take the smallest wise step. The content matters less than the posture. The coach's tone is warm, specific, and action-tethered. You can write your default sentence on the back of your triangle card so you don't have to invent it when your pulse spikes. This is not self-delusion, it's state selection. The brain entrains to the voice it hears most often when emotion is high. Give it a voice that keeps your hands on the wheel. A story quick and familiar. Dina is a nurse on a surgical ward, good at her job and tired of Sunday dread. Her mornings had improved, light, water, wake loop, focus field for charting clean. At 10:42 one Tuesday, a surgeon snapped about a missing lab result. Dina felt heat climb her neck and her mind sprint to "We're disorganized, I'm failing." She saw her hand reach for her phone, ready to text a flurry of explanations. She stopped and flipped the inner coach switch with her sentence, "You're capable, one breath, one step." She exhaled long, then asked one present tense question aloud to anchor the coach. "What's the smallest action that moves this result?" She walked to the lab desk, confirmed the sample had arrived, and requested a stat run with a clear time frame. 90 seconds later, she updated the team. No heroic speech. A switch, a breath, a step. By noon, the earlier surge lived as proof instead of a bruise. Check your jaw as you hear her story. Let it open 2 millimeters and rest. Feel the skin around your eyes soften. Listen for the farthest sound in your space, then the nearest. You're restoring width to your attention. A narrow mind sees only threat. A widened mind sees options. The inner coach lives in the widened field. The science is simple in all the right ways. The critic activates your threat systems because its language is global and permanent. Always, never, you. The coach narrows the time window to the present and the next move, which pulls blood back to your prefrontal cortex. The longer exhale gives the vagus nerve a tug, the heart rate follows, and the brain registers enough safety to think again. You don't need a PhD to use this. You need a sentence and a breath you trust under pressure. The inner coach switch is a trained reflex, not a motivational poster. But coaching without reframing can turn into a grind. You act, but the sting keeps echoing. That's where the three-angle reframe enters. It's a quick lens you hold up to an event to prevent your brain from drawing conclusions in permanent marker. The three angles are plain, plausible, and powerful. Plain is a neutral description, no adjectives, no courtroom. The email asked for a revision earlier than planned. Plausible is a kinder alternative explanation that could be true. They might be under new pressure from their boss. They didn't see my timeline. Powerful is the angle that turns the moment into a lever for your growth. This is a chance to practice scope clarity and to protect focus with a crisp proposal. You don't need to believe the powerful angle is the only truth. You need to feel it open a door, then you act through that door with your smallest wise step. This reframing doesn't sugarcoat. It sets you up to respond like the person you're becoming. Run it on something real right now. Think of a message or memory that stings. State it plainly in one sentence. Whisper it. Then craft the plausible angle that removes malicious certainty. Then speak the powerful angle that names the skill you can drill. Feel the shift in your chest as you do it, a few grams lighter, a little more room around your ribs. The three-angle reframe is your portable crowbar. It pries open the stuck door between reaction and choice. Arif's turn again, different weather. It's 11:28, the client adds two quick extras that aren't quick. Old script, people-pleasing followed by resentment. Arif pauses, flips his switch. Okay, breathe one step. He runs the three-angle reframe. Plain, they asked for additional features without extending time. Plausible, they might not understand the cost. They think it's simple. Powerful, this is a chance to practice boundary clarity with options. He replies, we can either add A and extend the deadline by 2 days, or keep the deadline and include B now with a next sprint. Which path moves your goal best? Noon finds him with fewer fires, not because the world is polite, but because he designed a way to meet impoliteness without bleeding. Tune to your senses again. Slide your shoulders back until your shoulder blades almost touch, then let them drop. Feel the weight of your hands in your lap or on the desk. Notice the temperature at your ankles. These are the handles you grab when the inner storm arrives. Your awareness has hands, and those hands can steady the furniture in the room of your mind. A micro drill links the switch and the reframe, the 90-second commentator. The second a surge hits, you start a silent play-by-play in a curious tone, like a sports announcer who loves the game more than any team. There's the pulse spike, breath rising, thought headline says behind. Here comes the urge to explain. We are breathing, we are choosing a sentence, we're naming it plain. You narrate until the minute and a half passes. Your commentary keeps you in the observer's seat, which is where the coach lives. Observers make better moves. You are the awareness, not the storyline, and the awareness writes the storyline's next page. You'll need one more tiny tool to keep the morning steadiness from leaking out through 1,000 micro-wounds. It's called the boundary bell. It's simply a phrase you say when someone invites you into urgency you didn't choose, stated without apology and with a clear next action. I can give this my full attention at 1:00. Does that timing still help? Or I want to do this right. Here's what I can deliver by noon. The bell is not a wall. It's a sound that signals where the gate is. You don't have to defend your worth. You guide the flow. You can fold the bell into your three-angle reframe's powerful step when the request is the sting. Kite, a junior developer, practiced the bell after a month of feeling like a live-in firefighter. On a Thursday, a senior messaged 5 minutes before stand-up, "Can you quickly rewrite the validation logic?" She felt the old heat. Switch, breathe one step. Reframe, plain, they want a last-minute change, plausible. Their demo is soon, they're nervous. Powerful, practice the bell with options. She replied, "I'm in the middle of test coverage till stand-up. I can switch at 12:30 and deliver a solid draft by 1:15. 10:15, or we can discuss during stand-up and prioritize for tomorrow morning. Which helps the demo more? The senior chose 12:30. Kite kept her morning block clean. Noon arrived, and instead of apology debt, she had momentum to spend. Scan your tongue against your palate and feel the faint texture there. Let a slow breath cool it. Hear the unnoticed hum in your room, the fan, the city, the refrigerator. Your nervous system resets on small, honest data. These sensory beads string your morning into a necklace you can feel when the day tugs. The risk with reframing is counterfeit positivity. You pretend it's fine and pressure builds underground. To avoid that trap, you add a quiet clause called grief in the corner. It's permission to admit when something genuinely hurts while still choosing your action. This stings, and I can be kind to myself while I act. You don't need to publish the grief. You acknowledge it like a friend sitting nearby, present but not driving. Paradox. Letting the feeling exist reduces its insistence. Your coach's voice is stronger when it doesn't ban feelings from the room. Tie the physiology lightly. Labeling sensations reduces limbic load. Second-person self-talk recruits the brain's social circuits for self-regulation. Reframing recruits the prefrontal cortex to update predictions. You don't have to remember the names. Remember this: breath and language are the levers you always carry. Use them in that order. Breath widens, language points. The sequence is why you become unstoppable by noon. You expand your internal space and then choose your movement inside it. A drill for language that sticks, the 3 seeds. After a surge and a switch, plant 3 short sentences in your mind like seeds you can step on. First, this is a moment, not a verdict. Second, I can make the next minute useful. Third, I respect my effort. They're tiny and they're anchors. When you repeat them, your reticular system starts to flag evidence that matches: moments ending, minutes being used, effort that deserves respect. Your brain builds what you ask it to notice. Listen to your breath as it leaves. Is it warmer than the air you draw in? Taste even the faintest hint of your last sip. Rub thumb and forefinger together and feel the grooves. You're not wasting time. You're depositing steadiness in the place that spends it fastest. The noon preview again, more precise. Picture the room you'll be in. See the light angle, the soundscape. Feel your chest at a level you want, not a level you fear. Then picture a small test, an abrupt tone, a schedule slip, a request shaped like a demand. See yourself flipping the switch, naming plain, offering powerful. Watch your hand type a sentence that is short, clear, kind. Watch your shoulders stay down. It's a 10-second rehearsal. Later, your body will recognize the scene and choose from memory, not panic. One more story to stitch the method into muscle. Aisha is a student juggling classes and a part-time job. Mornings used to be frantic, now they're clean. At 10:15, a professor emails that the rubric changed. The draft due tomorrow needs a new section. Aisha feels the tightness, hears the internal unfair, and pauses. Switch. Okay, breath, 1 step. Reframe, plain, rubric changed, add section, plausible. They clarified after noticing a gap. Powerful, practice scope and ask for a boundary. She writes, "Thanks for the update. To incorporate the new section properly, I can submit by Friday with full citations or keep the original deadline with preliminary notes added. Which is preferable?" The professor permits Friday. Aisha's noon is intact. Even if the answer had been no, she'd still have defended her focus without aggression. That's the muscle you're growing. Taste the air again, maybe a hint of dust or coffee. Roll your shoulders in small circles and feel the micropops release. Let your eyes land on one object in your room and study its edges for 5 seconds. You are teaching your mind to ground in detail before acting at scale. That's leadership on the smallest stage, the theater of your own attention. When you stack the inner coach switch and the three-angle reframe onto your existing morning design, you don't become invulnerable, you become configurable. Pressure arrives, and you configure your state for clarity. Urgency knocks, and you decide whether to open the door now or point to the gate with the boundary bell. This is not about becoming a saint of composure. It's about becoming a consistent partner to your future self. By noon, that partnership looks like a clean nervous system, a calendar that reflects your real priorities, and a body that recognizes the feeling of steady as home. You will forget, you will snap and send a defensive line, you will accept a request you didn't mean to, you will tell yourself an old story in a rushed voice. When you notice, the practice is not punishment, it's return. Breathe, label plain, plant a seed, offer powerful, move one step. Compliment yourself like a coach would. You caught it. That's progress. Identity shifts through repeated returns. Each return is a vote for the person who responds rather than reacts. That person is already here. You are the awareness that invites them forward again and again until it feels like the only way you operate. Close with sensation. Press your feet down and feel the pressure spread, then release. Place a palm over your chest and feel the beat. Count 3 of them. Let your mouth unclench and your tongue rest heavy. Inhale through the nose for 4, pause for 4, exhale for 6. Whisper your coach sentence once. Name something plain from your morning. Offer one powerful angle. Notice the extra room inside your ribs. That space is your noon insurance. You built it. You can build it tomorrow too. Schedules don't just hold meetings, they hold identities. By mid-morning, your calendar becomes a marketplace where other people auction your attention. If you don't set the rules of the stall, you'll trade your best hours for lint and apology. This part is about building boundaries that feel humane and firm, using your morning to predecide what gets in and what waits. You're not hunting for the mythical no. You're crafting a clean, not yet, and a thoughtful yes like this. We'll use 2 frameworks and a spacer that shields your noon, the calendar gate, the to-list compass, and the buffer brick. These are not productivity stunts, they're nervous system guards. Boundaries are kindness for your future self. Feel your breath settle low. Notice the temperature of the air where it meets the back of your throat. Feel the subtle pressure where your hamstrings meet chair or mattress. You're rehearsing holding a gate with your body, not just your words. When your physiology feels grounded, your language arrives softer and clearer. The brain hears tone before content. Calm first, then policy. The calendar gate is a morning ritual that decides in advance which requests get a yes, which get a conditional yes, and which get a not now. You pass every ask through 3 doors in this order: mission, window, cost. The mission door asks, does this move my North Star for the next 4 hours? If the answer is no, the item may still be worthy, but not in your morning. The window door asks, is there a 30-90-minute window before noon that can hold this without shattering the focus field? If the answer is no, it waits. The cost door asks, will saying yes here tax the version of me who needs to be clear at 11:30? If the cost is your clarity, the price is too high. You don't swing the gate with arguments. You swing it with pre-written phrases you decided when you were calm. You become boringly consistent. The nervous system loves boring consistency. It stops scanning for threat when it learns the rules of the room. The science is friendly. Implementation intentions, if X, then Y reduce the glucose cost of decision-making under stress. Dopamine doesn't just chase novelty, it tracks progress toward chosen goals. When you pre-commit the gate in the morning, you reduce decision fatigue later, and keep the reward prediction error small and sane. Translation: you promise less, deliver better, and stop paying interest on overcommitment. Make the gate tangible with a micro drill called Gate Card Rehearsal. After your trio, plus, and triangle, but before your inbox, you softly speak 3 sentences you'll use today. I can give this my full focus at 1:15. Does that timing still help? I want to do this right. Here's what I can deliver by noon. To keep the quality, I'll need to move X to tomorrow. Does that work? You practice them like scales. Your mouth learns the shape. Later, when your pulse bumps, your tongue already knows the route. This is not manipulation. It is choreography for integrity. Notice your shoulders. Are they inching up as you imagine saying those sentences? Let them drop. Feel the cool at your wrists, the warmth under your sternum. Breath in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. You're rehearsing saying no without spiking yourself. You are the awareness that sets the tone sets the day. A story to ground this. Rafi is a project coordinator whose mornings used to evaporate under quick questions. He adopted the calendar gate with a small twist, the token on the desk. When the token sat near his keyboard, he was in the focus field. When he moved it to the corner, he was open. At 9:05, a teammate pinged 2 minutes, which always meant 20. Rafi glanced at the token, out means in, and flipped the inner coach switch. Breathe, 1 step, gate time. Mission door, his North Star was stabilize budget model. Window door, 8:30-10:00 was his wave. Cost door, driftwood tax 11:30 clarity. He replied, I'm heads down till 10. If you send the doc, I'll give it a clean look at 10:15, or we can use 2:00 to fix together. Which helps most? The teammate chose 10:15. At noon, Rafi had numbers that held. He wasn't colder, he was clearer. His calendar felt like a room he lived in, not a bus he chased. Here's where you add the second framework, the two-list compass. Every morning after you write the today triangle, you split a page into must-moves and maybes. Must-moves are exactly 3 tiny outcomes that, if done by noon, make the day win-proof against chaos. They map directly to your North Star and can be finished in 1 wave or less. Maybes is a parking lot for everything that buzzes around them. You don't argue with the maybes, you house them. This reduces the zygonic itch, the mind's habit of keeping open loops jangling, because you've built a container the loops trust. You teach your attention to scan for 3 shining stones on the riverbed instead of grabbing at every leaf on the surface. Layla, our architect with the anchored mornings, started using the two-list compass because her mind wanted to hoard tasks like a dragon hoards coins. On a Monday, must-moves read, finish elevations, send 3 materials questions, confirm Thursday site visit. Maybes housed 16 items, some urgent feeling but not mission critical for noon. At 10:10, a client pushed a quick inspiration board. Old Layla would have plunged into Pinterest and drowned. New Layla checked the compass, ran the calendar gate and replied, love that you're thinking ahead. I can weave this into the elevations after I send the questions at 11:30. If you'd like a mood draft, Thursday afternoon works. Would that support your decision date? The board waited. Her noon stayed intact. The board still happened, better later, when her brain had the space to play. Check your body again. Sense the outline of your lips, the weight of your tongue, the texture of your palm if you drag it slowly along your thigh. These micro-sensations are tether points. When you feel them, your decisions stop skiing downhill on panic. You climb your own hill at your own pace. The buffer brick is the third piece. It's a 15-minute white square you lay between 11:30 and noon, unassigned and protected by policy. The buffer brick absorbs reality. The overrun, the surprise, the emotion that needs the 90-second weather rule before lunch so you don't carry reactivity into the afternoon. You schedule it like a meeting with yourself and label it with dignity. Review plus reset. When people ask for it, you use the gate phrases to point to other times. The science here is about state transitions. The brain resents abrupt context switches. It prefers ramps. The buffer brick is a ramp back to steady. It is cheaper to reset at 11:45 than to blade through 1:30. A micro drill makes the brick automatic, the 3-note close. In the first 5 minutes of the brick, you write 3 lines: what moved, what stuck, what's first after lunch. You breathe 2 slow 4-4-6s while looking at the after lunch line, then you stand and touch light or water. The ritual is small, tactile, and repeatable. Your nervous system learns that mornings end with closure instead of a cliff. Let's tether the frameworks to nervous system truth without heavy jargon. Your attention is like a garden with a narrow irrigation pipe. If you sprinkle everywhere, nothing thrives. The calendar gate blocks holes in the hose. The to-list compass places 3 pots under the sprinkler. The buffer brick lets the soil absorb water before the afternoon sun. You don't need to remember names of nuclei. Remember scenes and sensations. Morning boundaries are environmental art. You will meet pushes that test your gate. A manager insists. A client escalates. A friend texts in pain. Boundaries are not walls against care, they are paths to sustainable care. When someone is in genuine crisis, you can choose to suspend the gate and help. When someone is in routine urgency, you guide them to your path. The identity move is seeing yourself as a steward of your energy, not a bouncer. Stewards direct flow, they don't slam doors. You are the awareness allocating resources across time, so your noon self can keep promises that matter. Suri, a parent in graduate school, used to feel like mornings were a chain of apologies. She kept the dawn container but added the gate and the brick. A professor dumped a reading quiz at 9:20. Daycare called at 9:40. Noon loomed like a scolding clock. Suri ran the elastic hour, shrank the ritual, and applied the compass. Must-moves became submit outline, confirm babysitter, read section 3. She sent the boundary bell to the professor. I can take the quiz at 1:00 to give it proper attention. If it must be morning, I can do it at 11:30 with a short buffer first. Which serves the class better? She called daycare, breathed 1446, and took her buffer brick at 11:40 to make the noon transition clean. None of this removed life's friction. All of it made her less flammable. Noon arrived, and for the first time that week, she ate without scrolling. Taste the air again. Maybe it's neutral. Maybe a hint of coffee or spice. Listen for the farthest sound. Feel the cool at the back of your neck. These are rehearsal beats. Your boundaries will hold because your body learned their feel when nothing was on fire. There's a risk turning boundaries into brittle armor. If you defend every minute like a dragon, you will scorch relationships and yourself. So you add a clause to the gate called the kind pivot. When you must say yes to something outside your plan, you pivot with grace and then immediately protect the next gate. I can step in now for 15 minutes. I'll shift my wave to 10:30 and send the draft by 11:50. You note the pivot on your compass and use the buffer brick to smooth the cost. You kept the human thread. You also kept your identity thread. That's resilience, not rigidity. Tie the gate to language again. You'll write 3 phrases in your own voice and practice them before you need them. Your phone can hold them in a note labeled gate. You'll add 1 phrase for joy too. When a beautiful, non-urgent invitation arrives, a walk, a call with someone you love, you want to say yes without wrecking your morning. Yes, with joy, after 12:30 works. Shall we? Boundaries serve delight, not just duty. Your nervous system brightens when it trusts a place for both. You may ask, what about inboxes? They breed before breakfast. Build an email landing strip. It's a narrow slice of morning, 10 to 15 minutes, after your first focus field and before the buffer brick, where you land planes without letting them taxi all over the runway. You scan for fires, answer 2 quick items that directly touch your must-moves, and park everything else in the maybes or schedule it. You don't open threads that don't move today's mission. You don't read newsletters. If you must triage earlier because of your role, do it inside the gate with a timer and the token out. Then step back into your wave. The thread that matters is the one you chose at dawn. Your body needs to be part of this. Before you answer a request, touch sensation. Press your feet down and feel the pressure. Roll your shoulders forward, up, back, release. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Then answer. This 3-second pause is the seam that keeps your morning from tearing. It is astonishing how much composure lives in a single, honest breath before a sentence. Another story, Timo runs customer support for a startup with a talent for setting itself on fire. He used to treat every ping as an alarm. He built the gate and the brick and taught his team the no-ping pledge in the morning wave. At 10:50, sales asked for one quick exception for a client who threatened to churn. Timo's body surged. Switch, breathe, one step. Gate, mission, stabilize, response, templates, window, 10 minutes left in the wave, cost, high if derailed. He replied, I can draft a tailored reply at 1:10 that balances policy and care, or we can do a 5-minute triage at 11:40 during my reset, which keeps the relationship best. They chose 1:10. He kept the wave. At 1:10, he delivered a reply that saved the account and didn't teach the company to interrupt because panic yelled. Noon found him upright, not hollow. Feel the texture under your fingertips. Hear the room. Let your eyes focus on one point, then soften. You're building the reflex to widen before you decide. This is the quiet spine of all your frameworks. Widen, then choose. If you want to measure progress without turning your life into a spreadsheet, try the noon steadiness check. It's a 1-sentence self-inventory you write during the buffer brick. At noon, my chest feels word, my mind is word, and I kept number of my morning commitments. No judgment, just truth. Over days, you'll see the slope shift. The words soften. The kept count rises. Identity likes evidence more than slogans. You'll be showing your nervous system that boundaries aren't about being hard. They're about being honest. Let's land this into tonight and tomorrow. Tonight, set your gate phrases on a card. Tomorrow, after the trio plus and triangle, rehearse them once. Split your page into must-moves and maybes. Lay the buffer brick in your calendar between 11:30 and noon. When requests arrive, breathe, touch a sensation, pass them through mission, window, cost, and answer with a gate phrase that points to a time, not a feeling. Protect joy by scheduling it. Protect focus by naming it. Protect noon by leaving a ramp. If guilt rises when you hold the gate, remember whose future you are protecting. Picture the version of you at 11:50, breathing a little easier because the morning wasn't sold to the loudest bidder. That person thanks you. That gratitude is clean and quiet. It becomes the hum of your days. You are the awareness that stewards hours. Hours shape identity. Identity makes decisions before you have to think. Close with the body. Place your palm over your chest and feel 3 beats. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Whisper, I can be clear and kind. Taste even the faintest hint of air. Let your jaw drop a click. Stand if you can and take 3 slow steps toward the nearest light or window. That's your buffer brick in miniature right now. You've built a gate, you've built a compass, you've left space to land and reset. By noon tomorrow, the proof will be felt, not proclaimed. You'll be on time to your own mind, and you'll be the person who knows where their morning goes. Your mind can run on grit alone until about 10:30. After that, physiology makes its claim. If you don't feed the system well, focus becomes a houseplant you forgot to water, drooping, dramatic, and impossible to reason with. Part 6 is about the quiet mechanics that keep you even by noon. Not hacks, not biohacking cosplay, just the simple dials that shift energy without drama. You'll use two frameworks that stabilize state from the inside out, the Glycemic Glide and the Oxygen posture pair. You'll add a walk that teaches your stress system to move without panicking, and a tiny ritual that stops the snack spiral before it starts. This isn't a diet sermon, it's steering. Start with what happens in your chest around 10:45 when the morning's first block is done and your brain asks for a prize. If the prize is sugar riding solo, your blood glucose jolts like a motorcycle over a speed bump. You feel great for 18 minutes, then your system deploys insulin like a cleanup crew. Glucose drops, the brain interprets the drop as threat, and your amygdala knocks over your coffee, demanding more. The story in your head starts to change. Suddenly, everything feels urgent and a bit doom-flavored. The Glycemic Glide is a simple rule for the first calories that cross your lips before noon. Protein first, fiber with it, carbs last, sweet after steady. None of this is about purity. It's about smoothing the curve so your mind doesn't have to surf while you're trying to think. Feel your mouth as you imagine that mid-morning bite. Notice the saliva, the small memory of flavor that lingers from earlier. Let your jaw unclench by a millimeter. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. You're not judging your choices, you're prepping your nervous system to choose from a wider field. The vagal tug softens reactivity. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. You're choosing from clarity instead of craving. The glide works like this in practice. When hunger speaks, you answer with a small, friendly anchor that asks nothing dramatic of your insulin. A hard-boiled egg and a handful of berries. Yogurt with nuts and a drizzle of honey if you like it. Toast if you want it, but it's the supporting actor, not the lead. If you don't do dairy or eggs, then it's chickpeas with olive oil and lemon, or tofu slices with sesame and salt, or a quick lentil cup. You eat enough to feel you could wait 45 minutes without agitation. You chew with your mouth actually closed and your shoulders not riding near your ears. Then you return to your smallest wise action. The glide isn't aesthetic. It's a shield against the roller coaster that turns 11 into a haunted house. An anecdote with crumbs on it. Jess designs motion graphics, lives on deadlines, and used to live on pastries. The bakery downstairs does a cinnamon spiral that tastes like a Sunday apology. Her mornings were clean after she built the Dawn container and the focus field. But at 10:50, she'd take the spiral upstairs, feel like a god for 8 slides, then watch her hands shake while her inbox turned mean. One week she tried the Glycemic Glide. She prepped 2 jars, Greek yogurt with chia and a scoop of peanut butter in one, salted cucumber and chickpeas in the other. On Monday, when the pastry smell rose like a hymn, she ate half the yogurt, did 3-4-4-6 breaths and opened her deck. The pastry waited until noon. The shakes never came. The inbox stayed the same, but her chest didn't lie to her. By Friday she was not saintly, she was steady. Notice the temperature at the back of your throat. Is it cool, neutral? Feel the weight of your tongue resting heavy. Wiggle your toes inside your socks or stretch them against the floor. Your body understands these small signals. When you mark sensation, You reduce the chance that food becomes a mood mediator. You're not outlawing comfort. You're putting comfort on a plate that cooperates with your brain. Now the oxygen posture pair. Your brain is a greedy organ. It consumes about a fifth of your oxygen supply and throws tantrums when CO2 gets out of whack. When you sit collapsed, chin forward, ribs smushed, the diaphragm can't do its job, CO2 rises, and your body interprets it as threat. Threat narrows the mind, rounds the shoulders further, and the loop tightens. The pair is a two-move reset you run anytime your focus blurs or your patience frays. First, you make space. Sit or stand tall enough that your lower ribs can move sideways. Imagine a string lifting your sternum an inch, then let your shoulders drop back and down like a coat settling on a hook. Second, you take 2 physiological sighs. Inhale through the nose, sip a little more air at the top. Long exhale through the mouth like fogging a window. Then 1-4-4-6. The double inhale re-expands tiny collapsed air sacs. The long exhale dumps CO2. Your heart rate falls. Your mind turns from tunnel to room. Layla used it between reviews. At 11:15, a contractor's note landed wrong. Her chest tightened, her screen seemed 2 inches from her eyes. Old Layla would have typed a paragraph of justification. New Layla did the pair, sternum lifted, shoulders down, 2 sighs, a 4-4-6. The tone in her reply changed, not sugary, not sharp, clear. The contractor clarified, the work moved. She saved 15 minutes and 3 hours of rumination. That's the kind of math you want in your mornings. Feel your shoulders now. Roll them forward, up, back, and let them fall. Sense the skin over your ribs as you inhale. Notice how the exhale warms your upper lip. You are teaching your nervous system a posture that your mind can think inside. The body gives the brain permission slips. Write 1 every hour. Add movement that trains your stress system to see motion as safety. It's called Optic-Flow Walk. You'll set a 5 to 8 minute stroll mid-morning. Even a hallway loop will do, where your eyes scan the horizon and the world slides sideways in your visual field. Optic flow is a cue to the midbrain that you're moving through space without threat. It quiets hypervigilance and lets your prefrontal cortex stop clenching. Pair it with long exhales, but no phone. Let your gaze move to the far, then the near, then the mid. If you can step outside and catch real distance, better. If not, a corridor will still teach your system that movement and calm can coexist. Arif made Optic Flow his elevator alternative. 9 flights are a lot, but the stairwell gave him the same visual slide and the same slow breath. On days he was stuck at the desk, he walked the perimeter of the floor and looked out the narrow windows. His heart rate dropped, his replies improved. By noon, his brain felt rinsed, not wrung. Check your hearing. What's the furthest sound? A bird, a car, a hum, then the closest, breath, fabric, the tiny click in your jaw. Alternating far and near is a portable optic flow for ears. It widens your window without moving your feet. You can do it between sentences. Hydration is not an influencer's flex. It's plumbing. Blood without enough water behaves like traffic after rain, clotted, slow to clear, impatient. Add a pinch of salt or a squeeze of citrus if you tend to get lightheaded. The mineral nudge helps your body hang on to the water long enough to be useful. Pair each cup with a breath and a posture check, and you just stacked 3 levers for the cost of 1. This is not about gallons. It's about not asking your brain to think inside sludge. There's a tiny ritual that keeps the glide honest and short-circuits mindless munching. Call it the 2-bite check-in. Before you finish a snack, you pause after 2 bites and ask 2 questions. Do I feel steadier? And will this help me be clear at 11:30? If the answer is yes, you keep going. If the answer is no, you wrap it, save it, or toss it without a courtroom in your head. The pause lets your introspection, the sense of inside, catch up to your mouth. The questions point your choice at noon instead of dopamine. You're not parenting yourself with scolding, you're inviting your wiser self to vote. Kaito, who codes with headphones welded to his skull, used to graze like a nervous deer by 10:30, chips, cookies, anything with a crunch. He started the 2-bite check-in with nuts and dried fruit and water first. He kept his favorite chocolate in the drawer and made it part of a post-lunch ritual instead of a mid-morning rescue. The result wasn't purity. It was a mind that didn't boomerang between brilliance and fog. His commit history got boring in the best way. Fewer late-morning reverts, more calm pushes. Taste your mouth right now. Notice if there's sweetness, bitterness, or nothing. Name it without judgment. Your tongue is a dashboard light, not a judge. When you label sensation, you make space between desire and decision. In that space, you can place the glide, the pair, the walk. We should talk about caffeine like adults. You already delayed the first cup. Now treat the second like a scalpel, not a shovel. If you reach for it at 11:15 out of habit, run the oxygen, posture pair first and drink a glass of water. If clarity returns, you earn back a cup later without debt. If you still feel foggy, have the coffee with something protein-bearing. Caffeine without calories is a borrowed ladder. You climb fast and realize you leaned it on the wrong wall. Caffeine with steadiness is just a light turned up in a room that already has furniture. Your brain also cares about light. If you can, catch a second dose before noon. It's not about UV. It's about telling the clock you're still in the daytime arc, which keeps the sleep pressure curve where you want it later. A minute at a window, eyes toward brightness but not squinting, can be enough. While you look, soften your jaw, feel your ribs widen, maybe place a hand on your chest. Combine light with the pair and you've stitched 3 cues into one moment. The science behind all this is straightforward. Stable glucose reduces unnecessary adrenaline dumps. Long exhales and physiological sighs nudge the vagus nerve and adjust heart rate variability, which is like giving your stress thermostat a gentle recalibration. Optic-Flow tells the amygdala that the horizon is moving and we're not being chased. It lets cortisol rise and fall like a tide instead of a tsunami. Protein and fiber slow gastric emptying. Your brain gets a slow stream of fuel instead of a fire hose. Salt with water helps your kidneys manage volume, so blood actually reaches the places that make thoughts. None of these facts require you to memorize acronyms. They require you to practice tiny things often. There's an identity shift hidden in plain sight here. You are not a brain dragging a body around as an inconvenient meat suitcase. You are a system. When you respect that system, you stop taking your energy personally. A crash is not a moral failure. It's a curve you can sculpt with breakfast and breath. You are the awareness that tunes the dials. That identity is kinder than any diet and smarter than any hustle. It makes composure a normal temperature, not a rare mood. One more story, because stories stick. Noor is a middle school teacher who loves her students and used to love mornings until her own blood sugar started playing percussion in her veins. She'd teach 2 crisp classes, then hit a wall so hard she'd want to cry in the supply closet. She tried the glide with overnight oats and almond butter, then the pair before the 3rd class, then a 5-minute Optic-Flow loop around the courtyard watching leaves shimmy in the sun. When a parent emailed at 11:10 with a paragraph that could bruise Noor read it, felt the pulse rise, did 2 sighs and a 446, wrote a plain sentence to herself, "They're worried," and it came out sharp, and replied with an invitation to meet at 1:30. No closet, no crash, By noon, she felt like the kind teacher she knew she was. The physiology had stopped stealing the mic. Right now, check 3 senses. Rub thumb against fingertip and feel the ridges. Listen for the farthest sound, then the nearest. Sip water if you have it, and track the cool slide down your throat. Let your sternum rise, your shoulders drop, and take 2 quiet sighs. This is not a performance. It's a rehearsal for the moments that try to grab you later. There will be days you eat the pastry at 10:50 and love it. Good. Enjoy it like a person alive in a world with cinnamon. Then, instead of self-punishment, use the oxygen posture pair, take the Optic-Flow Walk, and plan a steadier lunch. You didn't fail your identity. You practiced flexibility. The elastic hour idea applies to physiology too. A steady morning is not fragile, it bends and returns. To make all this stick, build a tiny artifact, the steady card. On one side, you write your glide go-tos in your own words, foods you actually like and can grab without a ceremony. On the other, you write posture, oxygen, walk, and the 2-byte check-in questions. The card lives where your mid-morning hand reaches, desk drawer, bag pocket, fridge magnet. When 10:45 yawns at you, you don't think, you look. You don't negotiate, you choose. Identity follows choices more than pep talks. Choices follow cues more than willpower. As noon approaches, run a micro-sequence called the noon landing. 2 sighs, 1-4-4-6, 1 glass of water, 1 sentence to your future self about the afternoon. At 1:00, we'll restart with calm speed. The sentence is a seed you drop into the next hour. Your reticular system will water it when the clock and the light match the memory. It's not magic, it's you steering. Feel your feet press the floor. Feel the slight warmth pooling behind your sternum after the exhale. Let your jaw open and your tongue rest heavily for a breath. Look toward the brightest thing in the room and let your eyes soften. You're inside your system, adjusting dials, no audience, no applause, just the quiet competence of someone who knows how to keep their mind clear when the world is loud. Tomorrow, feed the morning you built, glide instead of spike, breathe into space instead of slouch into stress. Walk with your eyes seeing distance, not doom, check in after 2 bites, treat coffee like light, not a life raft. If you slip, you return. If you're steady, you savor that steadiness like an earned cup of calm. By noon, you won't feel heroic. You'll feel available to your own life. That's the point. Unstoppable is not a sprint. It's a slope you choose. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Place one hand on your ribs and feel them widen sideways. That's the body you're driving. It's on your side. When you treat it like an ally, your mind stops needing to fight for breath. It gets to think. It gets to choose. You are the awareness in the cockpit. You're ready for the next leg. By now you've noticed that mornings aren't just about actions. They're about the story the actions whisper to your brain. The breath, the card, the light, they're cues. But what you silently expect from the next few hours is the hidden script that shapes whether those cues stick. This part is about training expectation, not by pretending everything is perfect, but by coaching your reticular activating system to notice what helps you move. Think of expectation like the lighting director in a theater. Wherever it points the beam, the actors there look important. You'll install 2 pieces of stage gear you can run on the fly, the RAS Spotlight Protocol and the Sanctuary Room, and a micro-practice that turns rough emotion into fuel called Gratitude in Shadow. With these, your mind stops hunting for proof that you're late and starts hunting for proof you can steer. Feel your breath right now as a temperature difference across your upper lip. Feel the faint weight behind your eyes from the hours already lived. Let your exhale lengthen by a half second and notice the ribs widening more sideways than up. The moment you touch sensation, your lighting director pauses. You are the awareness calling the next cue. The RAS Spotlight Protocol begins with a single sentence aimed at your attention filter before it wanders off. After your triangle or anytime turbulence pricks your chest, you speak a directive out loud or in a whisper that starts with "Today, notice," followed by 3 specifics that match your North Star. Today, notice one clear question to ask in each meeting, the first moment your shoulders lift so you can lower them, and one person who relaxes when you slow your tone. The phrasing matters. Today, notice tells the filter what to highlight like a search term. It's not manifesting a miracle. It's asking your brain to pick out useful pebbles from the riverbed and place them in your palm. When your attention spirals toward threat, you run the spotlight again, same structure, and the beam obeys. A story where this beam changed the scene. Hannah manages a cafe on a street that wakes up in waves, delivery trucks coughing, scooters humming, a sunrise of impatience. She built the dawn container and liked the focus field in a notebook before the doors opened. But by 10:30, the line's mood could tilt her whole day. One Tuesday, she tried the RAS Spotlight. Today, notice one guest exhale when you name their order, one teammate who needs a nod, and the first time your jaw tightens. 10 minutes later, a man in a suit tapped his watch. Old Hannah would have let his irritation spray on everyone. She felt her jaw tighten, saw it because she'd told her brain to, softened it, and named the order with his name. He exhaled audibly. The line relaxed an inch. By noon, small wins had stacked like saucers. The work didn't change. What her attention collected did. Let your jaw slacken by a millimeter right now. Touch your tongue gently to the roof of your mouth behind your teeth, then let it drop. Feel the skin on your forearms cool as you breathe out. These micro adjustments are how you carry the spotlight sentence into muscle. The sanctuary room is a mental location you can step into in 5 seconds when the morning tries to pull you apart. Imagine an actual room, a door you can see, a floor you know, a window with light you like. In the sanctuary, time slows by a notch, and there is space for the 90-second weather rule, space to run the inner coach switch, space to pick the smallest wise action. You don't use it to hide from life. You use it to re-enter life with both hands on the wheel. The architecture is simple. One image, one sound, one sentence. The image is the room itself, detailed enough that your senses believe it. The sound is a consistent cue in that room, a clock tick, the wind, the hum of a fridge. The sentence is your permission. You can take 90 seconds, then you'll move. You practice entering the sanctuary for fun when nothing is wrong, so that when something is wrong, the door isn't hard to find. Maya built her sanctuary as the corner of a library she loved as a kid, dust motes in a sunbeam, a wooden table nicked by names, the far-off rustle of pages. The first time she used it in the wild was 11:12 on a Wednesday when a partner derailed her user story review with sarcasm. Heat rose. Old Maya would have performed competence at top volume. New Maya stepped into her room. Sunbeam, wood grain, rustle. She whispered, "You can take 90 seconds, then you'll move." She breathed 2-4-4-6 cycles, ran the 3-angle reframe plane. They're cutting, plausible. They're threatened, powerful. Practice one clarifying question and asked, "Which user journey do you want the demo to make undeniable?" The sarcasm deflated. The work resumed. Noon didn't inherit a hangover. Notice the pressure where your body meets the chair or the floor. Shift your weight an inch and feel the new contact patch. Look at a fixed point in the room for 3 seconds, then let your focus soften as if you're looking through the point. You're stepping into your own sanctuary for a breath without leaving where you are. Gratitude in shadow is where you harvest from feelings you don't like. It's not be grateful for pain. It's notice the skill the pain invites. When something stings before noon, a micro snub, a surprise bill, a missed bus, you name the weather plainly, then ask, what muscle is this moment asking me to train? If the weather is tightness and impatience, the muscle might be clean request for what I need, or one honest no, or recover breathing under pressure. You write a single line of gratitude for the muscle, not the mess, grateful for a chance to practice a clean no. Then you perform the smallest rep of that muscle within 2 minutes. You are not thanking the bruise, you are thanking the gym. The gym happens to appear as life. Arif met the shadow at a client stand-up when they implied his team had dropped the ball. His stomach sank, his throat dried. He could have defended or absorbed the blame like a sponge and spent the afternoon dripping resentment. Instead, he labeled weather, sinking, defensive heat, and asked for the muscle. The answer came simple: practice scope clarity again. He wrote on his card, grateful to train scope clarity under heat, and took the rep. To make sure we're aligned, here's what we committed to this sprint and what we haven't yet. Do you want to adjust? The tone changed. The bruise didn't vanish. He didn't betray himself either. By noon, he felt used, not used up. Check your throat now. Take a small sip of air, hold, then exhale longer than usual through pursed lips, as if cooling soup. Feel the tiny release behind your breastbone. That's room returning. Tie the science lightly. Your RAS is the brain's bouncer at the club door of awareness. It lets in what matches your recent search terms. If you feed it threat terms, it ushers threats to VIP. If you feed it skill terms, questions, cues, micro-wins, it spotlights those. Visualization of a sanctuary recruits sensory cortices. Your brain treats imagined rooms like places it can visit and borrows their calm. Gratitude in shadow updates predictions. The system stops labeling every friction as danger and starts labeling some frictions as training, which changes the adrenaline curve from spike to slope. None of this asks you to deny pain. It invites you to direct the light toward power you can use. There's a trap when you begin to aim the spotlight. You may start grading yourself for not noticing enough. When you catch that, use the coach voice. You noticed one, that's one more than before. Your identity is not a scoreboard. It's a set of reflexes you're teaching with repetition and kindness. Build a morning ritual for the spotlight that takes 30 seconds. After the triangle, you close your eyes and picture noon as a small scene, your shoulders steady, your breath low, the light angle in the room. Then you speak your today notice sentence with the 3 specifics. Then you open your eyes and pick up the smallest wise action. This is the future self bridge, thin and strong. Your noon self is not a stranger, it's a partner you brief at dawn. Nina, a junior lawyer, used to dread mid-morning partner reviews. Her brain treated them like pop quizzes written by fate. She added the future self bridge to her container. At 7:45, she pictured noon at her desk with sunlight on the left side of her screen and her chest quiet. She told her RAS, today, notice the first helpful question, the first time a partner nods, and the moment your posture collapses. In the review, the nod arrived on a small clause she'd argued cleanly. Her posture started to collapse, and she saw it, lifted, breathed. By noon, she felt like someone doing law, not someone getting judged for being human. The work didn't get easier. She got steadier while doing it. Let your shoulders find gravity again. Roll them once and let them fall. Touch your fingertips together lightly and feel the ridges map each other. Hear the quietest sound in your space. You are telling your body, we're in the room, we can choose. Add a tiny drill to glue the sanctuary to the real world, the doorframe cue. Every time you pass through a physical doorway before noon, you touch the frame or the air near it and run a 3-beat sequence silently. Name, weather, soften jaw, choose step. It takes 2 seconds. Doors become bells. The day is full of bells if you let it be. This converts your environment into a choir that sings you back to presence. Kite, our developer with the boundary bell, made doorframes her private ritual. On the way into stand-up, she brushed her knuckles on the door, murmured, fast breath, soften, and chose her step. Ask for definition of done. On the way out, same ritual, new step. Schedule 12:30 work block. Noon lost its appetite for drama around her. People felt the difference and didn't know why. She did. It was wood, breath, a sentence. You may worry that sanctuary and spotlight are just nicer words for avoidance. Test them. If the room makes you act smaller, you're hiding. If the room sends you back with a clear step, you're training. If the spotlight sentence makes you ignore important pain, you're pretending. If it helps you pick a better move under pressure, you're practicing. The test is behavioral. Did you move one wise step? That's the standard. You can trust it. Fold in a simple language shift to reinforce identity. When you catch yourself saying, I am anxious, switch to, I'm noticing anxious weather. When you say, I'm bad at mornings, switch to, I'm building mornings. This is not semantics. Identity statements trigger global predictions, weather statements trigger local adjustments. You're not denying who you've been. You're updating the code so your nervous system stops treating every cloud like climate. A quick sensory loop to end your mid-morning waves cleanly, the 3 corners. Pick 3 corners of the room, left high, right low, middle far, and let your gaze land on each for a second as you breathe out. Your visual system widens, your breath lengthens, your body stops acting like the email is your entire world. You do this before you open anything sharp. Then you open it. Ravi, a data scientist with a tenderness for spreadsheets and a fear of surprises, used to open his inbox like a horror movie, flinch, peek, flinch. He taped 3 tiny dots on his monitor bezel in those corners. Dots, breath, open. The ritual lowered his pulse enough that his replies didn't carry hidden barbs. By noon, he wasn't apologizing for subtext he didn't mean to send. He created space, then used it. Taste the air right now. Maybe it's bland, name it. Let your tongue rest heavy. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Whisper, today, notice, and fill in your 3. Picture your sanctuary's window, hear its sound. Give yourself the sentence. You are building neural furniture. Chairs you can sit on when storms blow. There's one more tool that turns the morning's scattered glints into a line you can follow, the breadcrumb note. It's a single sentence you write at 11:25, capturing one useful thing you noticed with the spotlight. Noticing that when I lower my shoulders before speaking, the room answers softer. Or, noticing one clear question calms me more than 5 fast answers. You jot it where you'll see it at lunch or tomorrow. Breadcrumbs accumulate into a path. The RAS loves recurring cues. It will start serving you more of what you write down. This is how you go from practicing steadiness to becoming the person for whom steadiness is normal. You are not trying to script a perfect morning. You are training a director to point light where skill lives, even when discomfort shows up dressed as urgency. You are giving yourself places to stand inside your mind that don't wobble when voices get loud. You are thanking the friction for the chance to get stronger at the thing you care about. That's adulthood, not performance. That's leadership over the smallest territory that matters first, your next minute. When shame slinks in, because it will, dressed as self-improvement fatigue, use the sanctuary to set it down. Sit for 90 seconds with the feeling like you would with a friend who needed quiet company. Then pick one small step. The step is always the exit. The mind tells you to solve your entire life before noon. The body knows better. It knows to breathe, to look, to lower the shoulders, to ask a clean question, to write one line, to drink a glass of water, to say, "I'll give this my full focus at 1:00." The person you're becoming believes the body. Close this part with a small ceremony. Press your feet into the floor and feel the rise travel into your calves. Place one hand lightly on your ribs and one on your lower back. Breathe and feel both hands move. Look to the brightest place in the room until your eyes soften. Say your spotlight sentence once. Picture your sanctuary door and know you can open it in any hallway, any meeting, any bus stop. Whisper a single line of gratitude in shadow for something that already made today a training ground. Then move your attention to the smallest wise action and take it in the next 60 seconds, even if it's only opening the dock and writing 8 clumsy words. By noon, these practices won't make the world kind. They'll make you kind to yourself in a way that keeps you useful. You'll feel less like a passenger and more like a pilot who knows where the dials are and which ones actually do something. You are the awareness in the cockpit. The weather changes, the pilot stays. There's a moment between 10:45 and 11:15 when communication makes or breaks your morning. You've built inner steadiness, but noon is often decided by the words that leave your mouth or your keyboard. One sentence can preserve your focus, another can set the rest of the day on fire. This part is about speaking like a calm instrument under pressure. You'll learn 2 frameworks that turn friction into clarity: the clean ask and the repair loop. The clean ask gets you what you need without drama. The repair loop mends a wobble before it becomes a rupture. Together, they protect the path you built at dawn. Start by feeling your own voice without sound. Notice the subtle vibration in your throat when you breathe, the way your tongue rests heavy and then light. Let your shoulders slide down and extend your exhale just enough that the air warms your upper lip. You are giving your body the cue that conversation can happen without threat. The nervous system reads posture and breath before it trusts words. When you speak from low breath and relaxed jaw, even in text, your language turns from defense to design. The clean ask is a sentence shape you can use when a request or a boundary is needed and your mind wants to either apologize or argue. It has 3 pieces braided into one breath: your North Star for the moment, a concrete request, and a kind window. In your head, it sounds like star ask window, but out loud it lives as simple English. To keep the quality on the draft, I need 20 focused minutes now. Can we regroup at 11:40? Or to make the demo land, I need the data table by 11:15. Does that timing still work? The order matters because your North Star turns the ask from personal to purpose-led, and the window shows you're not slamming a door, you're pointing to a gate. The clean ask prevents you from writing novels. It puts the right thing on stage fast. A story at an office that smelled like burnt coffee and fresh printer paper. Yi manages QA for a small app launch. At 10:52, product slips a quick tweak across chat. Old Yi would have spun into pleasing, yes now, stress later, test coverage compromised, noon fried. New Yi breathes once, jaw soft, and uses star ask window to keep our test suite clean for the 1 p.m. build. I need to finish the payment path checks. Can we queue this tweak for 12:30 or tomorrow's patch? The reply arrives without theatrics. 12:30 works. Yi's pulse stays even. The morning keeps its shape. Noon arrives with a sweet that passes and a brain that isn't buzzing like a hornet. Sense your hands. Are your fingers cool or warm? Rub thumb along the ridges of your index finger and let your breath fall into your belly. When your body feels like a steady instrument, your words carry tone people can trust. Tone opens doors faster than force. You are the awareness tuning the instrument before you play. The repair loop is for the second kind of threat, not the ask you need to make, but the crack that appears after something goes sideways. A tense exchange, a misunderstood message. The loop has 4 beats you can walk in under a minute: name, own, bridge, ask. You name the wobble neutrally so both parties can see it. You own the slice that's yours without groveling. You build a bridge to the shared goal. You ask one clear question that moves things forward. It sounds like my message landed as a rush. I didn't set context well. We both want this demo to feel airtight. Should we lock the definition of done in 2 lines right now? The repair loop keeps dignity on both sides. It points attention back to the work instead of the wound. Mina learned the loop after a misfire with her mentor. She sent feedback to a junior in a hurry, and the tone felt clipped. The junior escalated, the mentor pinged, and Mina's chest turned to glass. Old Mina would have written paragraphs. New Mina breathed, softened her jaw, and used the loop. I can see my note read as sharp. That's on me. I sent it between calls. Our shared goal is the junior learning the right approach without panic. Would it help if I jump on for 5 minutes to model the tone and content I meant? The mentor wrote back, yes, 5 minutes. The junior left the call with clarity, not shame. Mina left with noon intact. Repair didn't cost the morning, it protected it. Notice your spine now, the gentle S-curve, the contact points where your back meets chair or wall or air. Let your sternum lift a centimeter and release. Feel how breath moves when you give it room. You're engraving the physical shorthand that makes the clean ask and repair loop work when the calendar is loud. There's a hidden skill that amplifies both tools, the assumption audit. Press pause when you feel your stomach drop at someone's words and ask yourself 2 questions. What am I assuming about their intent, and what alternative intent would make equal sense? You don't need to be right. You need to loosen the knot enough to speak without accusation. If you assume they're dismissing me, you might generate an alternative like they're rushing, not targeting. Then you run the repair loop with a tone that leaves space for the kinder possibility. The brain responds to possibility with curiosity instead of cortisol. Curiosity is cheaper. Arif hit an audit moment when a client wrote, "We expected more by now." His scalp tingled an ancestral alarm. He caught the assumption they think we're incompetent and offered an alternative. They're nervous about their own deadline. He ran the clean ask. To make sure we meet your launch date, we need clarity on the 2 extras. Can we choose one to include now and schedule the other for next sprint? If this meets your goal, I'll update the plan by 11:50. The reply softened. Noon didn't inherit a feud. Feel the temperature of the air at the back of your throat. Taste whatever lingers from your last sip. Lower your shoulders by 1 notch. The body teaches the mouth to speak like a bridge, not a blade. Because not all communication is external, you'll add a micro-practice for the inner dialogue that shapes your outer sentences. The pre-send breath. Before you hit send on any message that raises your pulse, you take 1446 and read the note out loud in a neutral voice. If you can't read it neutrally, it's not ready. You either shorten to a clean ask or step into a repair loop. It takes 12 seconds, and it saves hours of cleaning up edges you didn't mean to leave. Kite adopted pre-send after a week where 1 quick slack cost her an afternoon of patching bruises. Now, before each tense message, she exhales, reads it softly, and trims until it sounds like someone she'd like to receive. Her team noticed meetings got shorter. They didn't know why. She did. Breath, tone, a sentence that points to the gate. Check your hearing. Catch the farthest sound, traffic, a bird, an appliance. Then the closest, your breath, fabric shifting, a keycap. That tiny widening takes 15 seconds and returns your parasympathetic system to the scene. From there, language is cheaper. The clean ask comes out simple, not sharp. The repair loop lands like a hand offered, not a finger pointed. A second micro drill stitches the frameworks into muscle, the 3-draft rule. Draft 1 is the vent you never send. Draft 2 is the sermon you also don't send. Draft 3 is the clean ask or repair loop shaped by your North Star. You don't indulge in the first 2 for long. You write a line or 2 to drain the heat, then you delete. The act of deletion is part of the ritual. It tells your system the heat can exist without becoming your signature. You replace heat with design. Design travels better. Hannah used the 3-draft rule on a review she wanted to torch. Draft 1, this is moving the goalposts again. Delete. Draft 2, per my previous. Delete. Draft 3, to get the shot consistent across the board, I'll need the final color profile by 11:30. Does that timing still work? The profile arrived. Her day kept its slope. Your sensory anchor now. Press your tongue gently against the roof of your mouth and feel the minute effort, then let it fall heavy. Place one palm on your ribs and feel them widen sideways with the inhale. Place the other palm on your low back and feel the echo. You turned your body into a room that words can live in. There's a risk in clean ask and repair loop. You may turn them into scripts that dodge honest feeling. That backfires. People smell falseness the way dogs smell rain. To keep your language human, add a clause called the honest slice. It's one short feeling statement attached to purpose. I felt rushed reading this, and I want to do it right. Or I'm disappointed we missed that step, and my aim is a clean demo. Feelings without purpose weigh the room down. Purpose without feelings makes you a machine. The honest slice marries them. Your body relaxes when it's allowed to be human. Layla used the honest slice with a contractor who left a mess. I was frustrated to see debris in the hallway, and I want to keep the client's trust. Can we walk the cleanup checklist for tomorrow morning? The contractor complied. The relationship didn't tear. Noon didn't have to host a resentment party. Tie the science lightly and then let it go. When you combine a longer exhale with soft jaw and low voice, you shift your vagal tone and project safety. Safety makes other nervous systems mirror you instead of defend against you. When you name a shared goal, the prefrontal cortex gets a map to follow. When you ask a clear question, you engage the brain's decision network instead of its courtroom. You don't need the acronyms to use the levers. You need the breath, the purpose, and the question. Set a ritual at 11:00 called the Clarity Minute. You close your eyes, breathe 1-4-4-6 and ask, which conversation before noon needs a clean ask or a repair loop? You write one sentence for each, then you either send it or schedule it. The Clarity Minute makes you a designer of social energy, not a passenger in it. You'll feel the difference in your chest. It's less tinny, more grounded. Nor between classes, use the Clarity Minute when a colleague seemed to be slow-walking a resource request. She breathed, chose clean ask. To prep the lab for 2 p.m., I need the tablets by 12:15. If that's tight, which cart can I borrow today? She got the tablets. The lab ran. Noon was a bridge, not a barrier. Let your gaze find a far point, then a near one, then a middle one. This is optic flow for your eyes at a desk. It melts tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is where sharp words are born. Wide view is where clean words live. You might wonder how to handle outright hostility or passive-aggressive smoke signals. The frameworks still hold. Hostility meets the repair loop, but with firmer edges. Name, I'm hearing sharpness. Own, I may have missed context. Bridge, we both want X to succeed. Ask, can we reset tone and agree on the next 2 steps? Passive aggression meets the clean ask with clarity. To avoid crossed wires, I need the versioned file by 11:50. Can you confirm you're sending that, or should I revise the plan? You aren't a doormat. You're a steward of tone and time. Ravi, who used to swallow snark and then suffer, tried the firmer repair loop when a partner wrote, "Did you even look at the spec?" His hands shook. He breathed, named, owned, bridged, asked, I'm hearing frustration. I missed the cost note on page 3, that's on me. We both want the model right. Can we agree the next step is aligning assumptions B and C by 12:15? The partner cooled. The model improved. Ravi didn't carry a tremor into lunch. Check the back of your neck. Is it cool, warm, neutral? Let your shoulders fall and feel the skin stretch across your collarbones. You are keeping your instrument tuned in the middle of the song. That's what Noon needs. A musician who can keep playing when an amp pops. Because you'll forget in the heat, create a scrap you can glance at, your speak card. On one side, write your star, ask window sentence in your own voice. On the other, name, own, bridge, ask in 4 small words you can catch with a half-second look. The card lives near your keyboard. You're not reading from it like a stage actor. You're letting it jog the body memory of steady speech. There's a final piece that takes your communication from solid to generous, the micro thank. Before Noon, anytime someone meets your clean ask or engages your repair loop in good faith, you close the loop with one line that names the behavior and the benefit. Thanks for shifting that to 12:30. It kept the test sweet clean. Appreciate the reset, tones better and the plans clearer. This is not flattery, it's reinforcement. Brains love being shown what to repeat. You are teaching your environment how to treat your morning. Maya made micro-thank her superpower. Partners started mirroring her clarity preemptively. When she walked into Noon, she didn't feel like a goalie. She felt like a coordinator with a team that understood the game. Taste the air, maybe there's a hint of coffee or nothing at all. Let your mouth unclench and your tongue lie heavy. Breathe for 4, hold 4, out for 6. Whisper a clean ask you might need today. Whisper a repair loop you hope you won't need but will run if the moment asks. Feel how the words sit in your chest when breath is low and jaw is soft. That's the feeling you'll return to at 11:07 when a sentence could lose you an hour. The identity shift in this part is subtle and strong. You are not someone who avoids hard conversations or bulldozes through them. You are someone who designs them. Your mornings stop being hostage negotiations and start being collaborations. Sometimes warm, sometimes firm, always forward. You are the awareness that can set purpose, speak simply, and repair quickly. That identity doesn't arrive with a title. It arrives with repeated breaths and sentences that fit the shape of your values. If shame shows up, maybe you sent the sharp line, maybe you dodged the ask. Don't turn this into a personal trial. Step into your sanctuary for 90 seconds. Run the 90-second commentator. There's the heat. There's the story. Here comes the breath. Then write the repair loop sentence and send it. Own your slice and move. That's leadership, not spotless behavior, swift repair. Close this part with a tiny ceremony you can use today. Sit or stand with your feet planted and your ribs free. 2 quiet sighs, 1, 4, 4, 6. Place a hand on your chest, feel 3 beats. Speak your North Star for the next hour in 9 words. Craft 1 clean ask and 1 repair loop sentence you are likely to use. Read them out loud gently. Then choose the smallest wise action that makes one of them unnecessary because you acted early. Open the doc. Set the timer. Move the token. The best conversation is often the one you prevented by being clear with yourself. By noon, the world will have talked to you in many tones, some kind, some clipped, some careless. With these tools, you'll answer in one tone, steady, purpose-led, human. You'll protect the shape of your morning not by building thicker walls, but by building cleaner bridges. You'll be on time to your own mind and on purpose with your words. That's unstoppable. That's you practicing it, sentence by sentence, breath by breath. There's a quiet fear that wakes up around 11:00. What if I've already messed today up? A wrong click, a late reply, a sharp sentence that left a bruise. The mind starts drafting verdicts. Lost the morning, ruined the streak, maybe I'm not built for this. That story is heavier than the mistake. Part 9 is your anti-spiral kit. You'll learn to turn any slip into a rehearsed return so noon still arrives steady. We'll build 2 frameworks that fit into the cracks: the reset, replace, resume, and the Emotional Alchemy Ladder. One clears the residue from your nervous system quickly. The other converts self-judgment into motion without pretending nothing happened. You'll add a micro-practice to make evidence accumulate on your side and a ritual that forgives in the body, not just the mind. Begin by naming what a slip feels like in your chest. Notice the subtle heat in your face, the dryness on your tongue, the micro-tremor in your forearms if you replay the moment. Let your jaw drop a millimeter. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and let a 6 count leave your lips like you're fogging a window. That sigh is not a flourish. It's the first R in reset. The system registers safety before it can learn. You are giving it safety on purpose. Reset, replace, resume is the simplest loop with the highest leverage. Reset is state, 1 physiological sigh plus 1446, posture tall enough that your lower ribs can widen, eyes soft. Replace is story. You swap the courtroom headline with a coach sentence that names the next rep. Resume is action. You take the smallest wise step that rejoins your plan within 60 seconds. If reset is breath and bones, replace is language, and resume is motion. The loop is fast because shame drives analysis, and analysis wastes your morning. You're training a reflex that says, "We come back." Maya used to lose whole hours to a single typo in a product note. The partner would ping, tone flat, and her stomach would fall like an elevator. Old Maya spun in self-defense. I should have known I'm slipping. New Maya used reset, replace, resume. She sighed twice, lifted her sternum, exhaled long, then replaced the headline with, "You can fix this in the next minute." Resume was one clear move. Correct the line, reply with the fix, add a quick checklist step to prevent repeat. It wasn't impressive. It was the difference between a scratch and a spiral. By noon, the morning felt intact. The typo had become a tile in a mosaic, not a stain that spread. Feel your hands as you imagine returning from a slip. Rub thumb against fingertip and notice the ridges. Sense the cool along your forearms as air moves. This is how your nervous system learns what coming back feels like. It will reach for that sensation before it reaches for a verdict if you practice now. The Emotional Alchemy Ladder is for the heavier moments, when you didn't just miss a detail, you violated your own standard. You snapped at someone you meant to protect. You accepted a task you knew would gut your focus field. Alchemy doesn't deny the metal, it changes its composition. The ladder has 4 rungs: name, normalize, narrow, nudge. You name the exact emotion in body words and a simple label: hot shame behind sternum, regret as pressure in throat. You normalize by remembering that nervous systems do this under load. You picture other humans you respect who have been here. You narrow by shrinking the frame from whole self to single behavior. I sent one sharp line, not I'm a sharp person. You nudge with one repairing action that is small, reversible, and scheduled now. Apologize cleanly. Reclaim your boundary with a fresh, clean ask. Move the token and reset the wave. Each rung transforms the texture of the feeling without erasing it. You climb with breath, not bravado. An anecdote with fluorescent light and that metallic taste of embarrassment. Rena runs a tiny agency, and at 10:58 she snapped at her designer on a call. "We've been over this," voice like a ruler on knuckles. Silence followed. The designer said, "Okay," but Rena saw the shoulders drop on camera. Old Rena would have let pride calcify the moment. New Rena touched the ladder. Name, heat in cheeks, stomach pulled tight, label shame. Normalize, leaders under deadlines slip. Humans bruise each other. Narrow, one sentence landed wrong, not a broken relationship. Nudge, message in 2 lines. I spoke sharply, I'm sorry, let's reset. To nail the concept, I need 3 options by 12:30. If that's tight, we'll move the call. The designer replied, appreciate it. 12:45, perfect. The correction didn't undo the sting entirely. It turned the day back toward the work. Noon arrived with dignity repaired, not denied. Check your ears. Catch the farthest sound, then the nearest. Feel the breath cool your upper lip and warm it again. You're widening your window so you can place your foot on the next rung without wobble. When the window widens, guilt loses its grip and becomes information. Information is cheap. Identity level shame is expensive. You are protecting your budget. To glue these tools into your morning, you'll keep a tiny ledger called the return log. It's not a journal, it's 6 words per entry. Each time you use reset, replace, resume, or the ladder, you jot a line, 10:13 typo, reset, fix, checklist, or 10:56 sharp tone, sorry, ask, 12:45. The point isn't record keeping, it's evidence. Your brain believes what it sees repeated. When you flip to the log during your buffer brick and find 3 returns in ink, it's hard for the critic to claim you're a lost cause. The log is proof that you are the kind of person who returns. That identity is weatherproof. Arif kept his return log on a card under his keyboard. On Thursday, he had 4 entries by noon, 2 resets, 1 ladder, 1 reframed ask. He read them while sipping water at 11:50 and laughed softly, not at the mistakes, at the fact that he didn't vanish into them. The log didn't make him proud, it made him honest. That honesty felt like oxygen. He walked into the afternoon with his shoulders low. Notice the pressure where your body meets the chair or the floor. Move your weight an inch and feel new contact points wake. The body can forgive itself faster than the mind if you give it a path. Forgiveness is a posture first, then a sentence. There's a trap you'll avoid, performance penance. That's when you overwork to erase a slip. You burn the next 2 hours to pay for a 30-second mistake. That tax bankrupts your noon. Instead, you'll use a clause called small, soon, seen. Your repair action is small enough to finish now, soon enough to mark the moment, and seen by the person or system that was touched. If you broke a promise to yourself, seen means written on your return log or spoken in your sanctuary. If you nicked someone else, seen is a 2-line repair. You don't add interest to the debt. You close the loop before noon. Noor's class hit a buzzsaw when the projector failed and she snapped at a student for talking. The room cooled in the wrong way. She used small, soon, seen, 2 size, a 446. Then she said, I spoke sharply. That wasn't it. Let's reset. She wrote the moment into her return log at the corner of the whiteboard where only she knew to look. The class relaxed. She taught. Noon didn't carry a teacher who was punishing herself. It carried one who adjusted. Tie the science lightly so your hands trust the tools. Naming sensations recruits interoception. Your brain gets a clearer map of what's happening and dials down excess alarm. Second-person self-talk. You can fix this. Borrows social circuitry to self-soothe. Tiny repairs provide prediction error in your favor. Your dopamine system updates from we fail and spiral to we slip and return. You're not gaming your brain. You're teaching it a pattern worth believing. Add a micro drill called the 60-second quiet shop. When your mind clamors for penance, you step into your sanctuary and imagine a tiny workshop with a bench and good light. You place the mistake on the bench like a tool that needs cleaning. You wipe it once with breath, once with a sentence, once with a small action. Then you hang it back. You get out. The shop is not a courtroom. It's where honest work happens without self-violence. Use it once a morning for a week, and watch your noon tension ease by degrees. Dina used the quiet shop after a charting error. She pictured the bench, placed the error down, breathed, replaced the story, I can correct and learn, and resumed with a checklist tweak. Her hands stopped shaking. Patients saw a nurse, not a storm. Noon was quieter than it had a right to be. Feel the back of your neck. Is it cool, warm, neutral? Let your shoulders slide down as if the joints just learn their own weight again. Taste the air, name it. You are teaching your system that repair happens in a body that is not clenched. Clenched repair just spreads the crack. Because slips often come with social echoes, pair the ladder with a tool called the repair window. It's a rule you set in the morning. If a wobble touches another human, you aim to repair within 60 minutes or schedule the repair with a time and a sentence. You don't ghost your guilt into the afternoon. A scheduled repair still calms your nervous system. The decision counts. You write 1:15 repair note to ye and return to your field. The window keeps shame from becoming fog. Rafi used the repair window after he missent a file version that wasted a teammate's half hour. He felt the sting, ran reset, replace, resume, and scheduled 11:40 repair plus clean file. He kept his focus field, then wrote, I sent an outdated version, that's on me, clean file attached. For future I'll label with date and version. Thanks for your patience. The teammate replied, all good. The issue didn't breed. Noon didn't inherit a grudge. There's a language flip that hardens your returns into identity. Stop saying, I blew the morning. Start saying, I returned 3 times before noon. Both are true. One builds a self who keeps going. The other builds a self who stops to narrate doom. You are not protecting your ego. You are protecting your capacity to act. A story where the stakes were small and the lesson was big. Kaito merged the wrong branch at 10:37. Build broke. Slack lit up. Old Kaito would have wanted to crawl into the codebase and not come out. New Kaito typed in a clean voice, I merged the wrong branch, rolling back now, patch in 5. He breathed, rolled back, added a pre-merge checklist, logged the return. Someone replied with a thumbs up. The sun didn't move. Noon arrived with a developer who trusted himself more than an hour earlier. Not because he never errs, but because he knows how to steer after. Check your eyes. Pick a far point, a near point, a mid point. Let your gaze soften. This optic microflow tells your midbrain the world isn't a single problem. The nervous system gives you a discount on the cost of coming back when the world has shape again. Because the critic is crafty, it will try a new tactic, weaponizing your standards against you. A person who's truly steady wouldn't need these resets. Answer with a clause called the human clause. You say softly, I'm building, not auditioning. Auditions ask you to be flawless for a judge. Building asks you to lay the next brick. Bricks form structures. Judges leave. Layla wrote the human clause on the back of her steady card. She read it at 11:05 when a supplier's delay tempted her to throw the whole morning away. She didn't. She ran the ladder, made the clean ask for a revised delivery, adjusted her to-list compass, and returned to the drawing. Noon came, and it came to a builder. Cap this with a ritual that makes forgiveness physical. It's called the wrist wash at the sink, or with a cup, run cool water over your wrists for 10 seconds after a repair. Feel the temperature change, the skin tighten and then warm. Name the weather, cool relief, and whisper, "We begin again." The skin remembers. Next time a slip hits, your body will crave the reset because it learned that water means return. Sensation anchors identity better than affirmations alone. Hana kept a small bowl by her desk. After a snippy exchange she repaired, she dipped her fingers, felt the cool, and resumed. It bent toward ritual. Ritual bent toward steadiness. Noon kept arriving to someone who had cleaned the day's tools already. Tie all this back to the pilot identity. Planes don't land without corrections. The pilot is not ashamed of the yoke moving. The pilot is ashamed if they stop flying the plane. Every reset, replace, resume is a hand on the yoke. Every rung of the ladder is altitude regained. Your return log is the flight recorder that shows you kept flying, not that you never hit turbulence. Right now, breathe a single 4-4-6, lift your sternum, soften your jaw. Name one slip from the last week in one plain sentence. Climb one rung of the ladder, name the body feeling. Replace the headline with one coach sentence you trust. Choose one smallest wise step you could take now if it were happening again. Imagine taking it. Feel the body shift a fraction toward warmth. That fraction is the angle that decides noon. If you want to make this muscle unavoidable, build a 5-second door in your calendar called the return bell. A silent reminder at 11:20 buzzes your wrist. You look at your return log, whisper, "We come back," and breathe once. Even if the morning was clean, you mark one micro-return, came back from distraction, softened shoulders, asked a clear question. The bell trains your RAs to notice returns as often as it notices errors. Attention creates character. You're choosing who you become by choosing what you count. There will be days when the slip is big and the repair is a long road. You won't fix a relationship in an hour. You won't erase a missed deadline with a sigh. On those days, the ladder's nudge is smaller and more sacred. You set the first honest checkpoint, you inform people early, you guard your nervous system so you can do the work. You refuse the ritual of self-demolition. You choose the ritual of steady reconstruction. Noon on those days won't feel triumphant. It will feel adult. That feeling is worth more than a perfect morning you can't repeat. Close this part the way you'll close your next mistake. Place one palm over your chest and feel 3 beats. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Whisper, "We come back." Picture the quiet shop's bench. Place a small error there and wipe it once with breath, once with a sentence, once with a step. See yourself write a 6-word line in your return log. Feel cool water on your wrists. Let your shoulders fall. The day is still here. Your hands are still on the wheel. You are the awareness that returns and returns and builds a noon that doesn't depend on never slipping. It depends on never quitting the return. There's a thin hour where many good mornings go to die. It's the stretch between 11:00 and noon when the world starts asking for verdicts and your brain starts bargaining for escape. You've stacked breath, light, movement, focus, boundaries, food, language, repair. Now you'll turn this hour into a hinge that swings the rest of the day in your favor. Part 10 gives you architecture for the last leg of morning. How to decide quickly without getting brittle. How to clear the mental desk so noon begins clean. And how to lock in a sense of momentum that survives the first afternoon punch. You'll use 2 frameworks, the noon map and the 1-degree lever, and a micro practice called the signal sweep. Together they make 11, 0, 0, 12, 0, 0, the hour you stop leaking power and start steering again. Notice your body as noon approaches. Feel the faint dryness on your tongue, the way your shoulders want to ride higher as you open the inbox, the tightness behind your eyes like they're trying to zoom on everything at once. Let your jaw unhook by a millimeter. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, and watch the air warm your upper lip. You're not calming for calm's sake. You're laying track for fast, kind decisions. The noon map is not a to-do list. It's a 5-minute recon mission where you convert the chaos of options into a single street you can walk. You draw it with 3 moves in order. Name the terrain, place the stones, choose the street. Naming the terrain means you state in 1 sentence what kind of hour this will be without drama. Crowded hour with 2 decisions and 3 loose ends, or light hour with 1 draft and a repair note. Placing the stones means identifying the 3 objects that must cross the river before noon. The decision you owe, the deliverable at 80%, the repair that will drag if you don't send it. Choosing the street means you pick the order that keeps your nervous system widest. Repair first if shame is stealing oxygen, decision first if others are waiting, draft first if momentum will feed the call at 12:30. The noon map is about sequencing that respects biology. You don't debate whether to be a hero, you choose a street and walk. Layla built her noon map on a sticky note in pencil. One Wednesday the terrain read, tight hour, permit call at 12:20, contractor tug. Stones, email to city with revised drawing, reply to contractor about debris, prep 2 talking points. Street, repair first, then city, then talking points. She breathed once, typed the 2-line repair from part 8, felt her ribs soften, then sent the city note with the drawing. At 12:16, she opened her talking points and read them aloud once. Noon arrived to a call that felt like she'd already walked half the road. The sensation in her chest wasn't triumph, it was air. Sense your feet now. Press them into the floor and feel the pressure spread through heels and toes. Roll your shoulders forward, up, back, and let them fall. You are teaching your body that maps are drawn by people with breath, not by people holding their breath. The nervous system opens the gates to clarity when it feels a flaw under it. The second framework is the 1-degree lever. It's simple math for an emotional system. You ask, what is the smallest nudge right now that changes the trajectory of my afternoon by 1 degree? A 1-degree change over 3 hours is a different coastline. The lever is rarely grand. It's sending the clarifying question before lunch so the 2 p.m. doesn't explode. It's renaming the file cleanly so you don't play version roulette at 3:30. It's 5 honest minutes with numbers so you aren't guessing later and calling it intuition. The 1-degree lever fights the noon myth that only big moves count. You're not winning the day, you're shaping its slope. Arif used the lever on a day that smelled like copier heat and rain. At 11:32 a message landed, client unsure about Friday's priority. Old Arif would have chewed on the uncertainty like a toothache until 2 p.m. then rushed. He breathed once, asked, what's the 1-degree lever? Answer, force a fork now. He wrote, to protect quality, which of these 2 outcomes matters more for Friday's success? I can lock one by 4 p.m. with a clean draft. The client chose. The afternoon became a street instead of a fog. By noon, Arif's shoulders had stopped auditioning for a scarf hanger. Taste the air where it meets your tongue. Maybe there's coffee, maybe nothing. Name it. The act of naming is part of the lever. It turns vibe into information. Information can be acted on. Vibes turn people into weather. The signal sweep is your micro-practice for clearing noise without falling into tidying as a hobby. It's a 3-minute ritual you run at 11:40 that asks 3 questions while you physically move through your space. First, you look at your desk and ask, what single object here is telling my brain an old story? You put that object out of sight, a stack of mail, a post-it with a guilt list, a browser tab that whispers you're behind. Second, you open your calendar and ask, what is the first commitment after 12 that I can fortify with one sentence now? You write the sentence and park it in the event notes or send it. Third, you check your body and ask, what is the quickest way to widen my window? 2 physiological sighs, a long exhale, a glass of water, 3 steps toward the window. The sweep deletes static, so your noon map isn't drawn on a dirty windshield. Maya swore by the sweep because her desk had a way of becoming a shrine to postponement. Before the sweep, she would stumble into 1 p.m. with 20 tabs and a side of shame. After the sweep, the desk held 1 document, 1 token, 1 card. She sent 1 sentence to a partner, to tighten our 200, I'll bring 2 options and 1 question, and her body felt like a room instead of a hallway. Noon used to signal panic now. Now it signaled continue. Feel your hearing widen. Catch the farthest sound, then the nearest. This teaches your midbrain that the world has depth. Depth is cheaper than drama. When you hear depth, your language returns to sentences that move, not spirals that chew. There's a decision problem that Noon loves to drop in your lap, the great maybe. Half-done tasks that glare, requests that aren't urgent but feel personal, the nice-to-do that nibbles at your spine. The Noon map handles them with a clause called the reservoir. The reservoir is a single list, not a mental compost heap, where maybes go with a next review time. You give each maybe a date, tomorrow morning's gate review, Friday's planning, next sprint. You don't keep redeciding every 20 minutes. You pour them all into the same basin and stop carrying them in your teeth. The basin lives in one place, not 5, a page, an app, a card. If you touch a maybe twice before its date, you are allowed to move the date once, not forever. The rule is mechanical so your mind can relax. You cannot be unstoppable by noon if your mind is a small court hearing appeals from every leaf that floats by. Ravi used to let maybes colonize his alertness. The reservoir stopped the invasion. At 11:05, a bright idea landed with the dopamine glow. Old Ravi would have pivoted and left a trail of half-work. New Ravi wrote, Model B Insight, Reservoir, Friday 9:00, then returned to his noon map. The idea didn't die. It waited in a place that didn't tax his lungs. As you absorb this, check your posture. Lift your sternum as if a string at your breastbone has found gentle tension. Let your shoulders fall back and down like a coat sliding onto a hook. Take 2 quiet sighs and notice how your ribs widen sideways. In that posture, write an imaginary noon map sentence in your head. Tight hour, decision, repair, draft, repair first. Feel the sentence clip into place like a seatbelt. We should talk about decision velocity, not speed for speed's sake, speed that respects truth. You increase velocity with a tool inside the noon map called the 2-question gate. For any decision that could chew your hour, you ask, what's the minimum reversible step? And what information would turn this from a guess into a choice? If a step is reversible, you take it now. If information is missing and cheap, you ask for it now with a clean ask. If information is expensive, you time-box your best call and document your assumptions in 1 sentence so future you can correct without shame. You are not trying to be a genius. You are trying to be a pilot who keeps the plane flying and lands clean. Jess, with her cinnamon spiral discipline and motion graphics magic, used the 2-question gate when a client waffled on color. Minimum reversible step. render two 15-second clips, information that moves it from guess to choice. Which platform is most important for the algorithm's color compression? She asked. The answer saved an afternoon of fixing what could have been decided in a minute. Noon was peaceful like a room with curtains, not a room with alarms. Notice the temperature at the back of your neck. Cool, warm, let a long exhale wash it. The neck is where vigilance crouches. When it loosens, your yes and your no both arrive from a deeper place. Because Noon loves to produce a special theater called the emergency that isn't, you'll create a thin shield, the 90-second verify. When a ping claims crisis, you treat it like a siren passing on the street. You pause, step back one pace, and scan for 3 facts. The timestamp, the actual stake, the real deadline. You ask one clarifying question if any of those are fuzzy. 90 seconds. Often, the siren keeps going and you don't run into traffic. When it is real, you're clearer and faster because you didn't sprint before looking. Kaito used 90-second verify the day a site-down message exploded in all caps. Timestamp 6 minutes ago, stake high, deadline immediate. Real, he breathed once and ran toward the fix. Another day the subject line said urgent, and the body said, when you have a minute. Not real. He breathed once and stayed on his street. Noon went to the pilot, not the siren. Sensation break. Drag a fingertip across your palm and feel the fine grain. Hear the quietest sound in the room. Let your jaw hang a fraction, then settle. Your nervous system believes small truths. It calms for them. From calm, you choose. From panic, you chase. You're going to add a ritual right at 11:55 called the Noon Seal. It's a 30-second closing where you make your afternoon self a promise and a gift. The promise is 10 words, present tense, purpose-led. We will start at 1:00 with calm speed on X. The gift is one small prep act that eases your 1:00 start. Open the document, place the token, write the first messy sentence, fill the water glass. The seal tells the bridge between morning and afternoon. We take care of ourselves. Your chemistry remembers. When 1:00 arrives, your body steps into a scene it recognizes. Nor made the Noon Seal sacred. The promise lived on a card. The gift was sometimes as small as a tab open to the exact page she needed. Students noticed less fluster and more grace. She wasn't trying to impress. She was trying to be available to the moment her life kept handing her. The seal worked because it honored biology. Future you is more likely to act when present you sets the stage like you care about the actor. You might wonder how all this fits with the buffer brick you laid in part 5. They stack. The brick is the ramp and the seal is the last step at the top. The Noon map gets you to the ramp without tripping. The 1-degree lever makes the ramp worth climbing. The sweep makes the air clear. You are not adding ceremony, you're removing drag. Raffi learned this loop on a tough Thursday. Terrain, crowded finance question, design handoff, uncomfortable note. Stones placed, street chosen, repair finance handoff. Sweep at 11:40, move the gilt posted into the reservoir with Friday 9:00, sent one line to finance with the 2 data points needed for a clean decision, 2 size, glass of water. At 11:55 he ran the seal. We begin at 1:00 with vendor call prep and open the dock to the header before standing up. Noon arrived and for once didn't feel like the edge of a cliff. It felt like a doorframe he knew how to touch and pass. Scan your skin for a moment. Can you feel the fabric on your forearm? The temperature difference between wrist and elbow? These checks aren't spiritual. They are instruction manuals written in sensation. Your attention obeys them. There's a risk now that you've built this much structure, turning noon into a report card. If at 11:52 you start grading yourself, you will sprint into lunch as punishment or collapse into scrolling as escape. The antidote is the noon sentence. It's a one-liner you write during the buffer brick that captures state and one kept promise. Chest even, mind clear, sent repair and decision. Or a little rattled, still did the draft. The sentence is a mirror, not a verdict. Mirrors help pilots land, judges don't. Hannah wrote her noon sentence on a napkin by the register, calm enough, clean ask for grinder maintenance, schedule set. She crumpled the napkin and tossed it, not because it didn't matter, because it did and it was done. Space cleared, afternoon ready. Let's thread a story that holds the frameworks together. Suri had a morning that looked like a recipe for collapse. Kiddo fever at 4 a.m., a quiz moved, a reading that wouldn't shrink. She used the elastic hour at dawn. By 10:55 the day was wobbling again. Old Suri would have melted into apology and caffeine. New Suri stepped into breath, drew a noon map, tight hour, repair with professor, quiz plan, outline. Stones, 2-line repair, email asking for alternate quiz slot, write outline headings. Street, repair ask outline. 1-degree lever asked for a nudge. Scheduled childcare call at 12:05 so the afternoon didn't shatter. Signal sweep at 11:40 cleared the stack of mail, put the guilt in the reservoir, poured water. 90-second verify caught a faux emergency from a classmate who actually meant later today. The noon seal promised start at 1:00 with section 3 summaries and open the doc to the exact paragraph. Noon wasn't pretty, it was owned. Suri ate sitting down and tasted her food. Is your mouth dry? Sip water if you can. Run 2 physiological sighs and feel your ribs release. Put a hand on your chest and catch 3 beats. Your body is not separate from your hour. It's the hour's engine. Treat it like one, and the car goes where you steer. You have one more lever that glues size to rhythm, the 5% rule. When noon pressure makes you perfection hungry, you ask, what would make this 5% better in 5 minutes? You do that and stop. 5% on a draft, 5% on clarity of a deck, 5% on organization of a brief. 5% is a scientist's move, enough to change results, small enough to be repeated. The rule protects you from the panic polish that eats daylight. It turns not done into better and moving. The mind likes better and moving. It quiets. It lets you eat without bargaining with the clock. Mina used the rule on a legal memo that felt like a thorn bush. 5 minutes, 5%, 2 cleaner topic sentences, and a clarified ask at the top. She stopped, ran the seal, and walked to lunch with a brain that didn't hover over the file like a bee that can't find a flower. Feel your eyes. Pick a far point, a near point, a mid-point. Let your gaze soften and widen. You are reminding your system that the world extends beyond the screen. Brains that remember the horizon are kinder at noon. You might be tempted to stack more rituals. Resist the urge to turn your life into a sequence of incantations. Keep it human, noon map, 1-degree lever, signal sweep, 90-second verify, noon seal, 5% rule. The names are handles so your hands can find them under stress. Nothing more. The magic is not in the labels. It's in your breath, your tone, your order of operations. Tie the science lightly so your pilot brain nods and then forgets it. Sequencing tasks reduces context switching and preserves working memory. Tiny improvements scratch dopamine without triggering perfectionism's cortisol. Writing a single purposeful sentence recruits networks involved in goal maintenance. Optic flow and physiological size widen the window in which the prefrontal cortex can actually lead. None of this is trivia. It is why you can feel different at 12:00 with the same number of pings in the world. The identity shift of part 10 is quiet. You stop acting like noon judges you. You start acting like noon is a bridge you maintain. Bridges don't care how you feel. They care if you show up with a wrench. You are the kind of person who brings one, uses it, wipes it, and sets it down ready for later. You are the awareness who maps, nudges, clears, verifies, seals, and then lets go. Close this hour with ceremony measured in breaths, not bricks. Sit or stand with ribs free, 2 size 1446. Whisper your terrain for the next 60 minutes. Place your stones, choose the street, ask for the 1-degree lever, sweep the signals, verify the sirens, seal noon with a sentence and a gift. Then put your attention on the smallest wise action you can take in 20 seconds and take it. Feel the muscles of your shoulders stay low as your hands move. Feel your jaw soft as your words land. Feel the room widen when you look at a window, even if the window is just a bright square on a wall. By the time the clock meets 12:00, you won't have conquered anything. You will have conducted. That's better. Conductors don't stop noise. They turn it into music by choosing who plays when. You've chosen. The day will still wobble. You won't. Unstoppable by noon isn't a mood you catch. It's a sequence you run. You just ran it again. By now you know mornings can be designed. The last step before we close the arc is making that design durable under whether you don't control travel, illness, time zone jumps, kids up at 4 a.m., a launch week that eats the calendar, or the occasional "I just woke up late." Part 11 is about resilience over weeks, not hours. You'll build guardrails that keep your mornings from becoming a fragile art project. You'll install 3 frameworks that make consistency easier than collapse: the baseline and dials, the streak shield, and the social loop. You'll add an edge case kit you can deploy in 60 seconds and a weekly ritual called the solar check that prevents drift. This isn't about never missing. It's about missing without losing yourself. Start by feeling the truth of repetition in your body. Notice the temperature at your nostrils as air enters, the soft warmth as it leaves. Notice your shoulders trying to sneak upward even as you read. Let them drop, slow and obvious. Feel your feet heel to toe as if the floor were a friend. The nervous system trusts patterns it can sense. When you attach your rituals to sensation, cool in, warm out, shoulders down, they weather the weeks better than ideas do. The baseline and dials is your anti-perfection engine. The baseline is a minimum ritual you can complete on your worst morning and still call yourself aligned. Your dials are optional increments you can turn up when the day gives you room. Baseline might be 1446, 1 line of the today triangle, 3 steps to light, the smallest wise action done. Dials include Trio Plus in full focus field at 90 minutes, Optic-Flow Walk, Spotlight Sentence, Clarity Minute. You never turn all the dials to 11, you pick 1 or 2. This prevents the all-or-nothing crash that kills streaks. The baseline protects identity. The dials shape growth. Arif used to play routine roulette, glorious mornings followed by nothing for days. He wrote his baseline in ink on a card in his wallet. Tuesday, late bus, spilled coffee, a call already opening without him. Baseline only, 1 breath, 1 line, North Star clear ask in kickoff. 3 steps to light in the lobby. Smallest wise action, type the question and paste it ready. Noon landed steady, not spectacular. Thursday was calm. He turned the dial for focus field and ran a full 90-minute wave. Identity stayed the same across both days. I am someone who begins on purpose. That identity, the uninterrupted thread, is what becomes unbreakable. Check your jaw, let it open 2 millimeters and rest. Slide your tongue to the roof of your mouth, then let it fall heavy. Feel your ribs widen sideways. The baseline lives here in these signatures. When life frays, your hands will find them faster than they find a paragraph of advice. Now for the streak shield. Streaks are useful until they're tyrants. The shield is a rule set that stops one miss from turning into a story. 3 clauses: don't break twice, count elastic wins and record the return. Don't break twice means if you miss the morning entirely, you run the baseline as soon as you remember, even at 11:04. The body registers we returned, and the streak, defined as returns not perfection, remains alive. Count elastic wins means a shape-down ritual under pressure counts. You don't grade down the day that needed 3 minutes. The nervous system likes victories it can keep. Record the return means you jot a 6-word line in your return log so evidence accumulates. The shield keeps shame from taking the wheel after one wobble and driving you into a ditch. Layla's shield saved a launch week. Day 3, concrete dust, permit office delays, a contractor with opinions. She slept through her alarm. Old Layla would have declared the streak dead and eaten the day with scrolling. New Layla ran don't break twice at 9:17, 1 breath, 1 line, weather, gritty, North Star, firm and kind, 3 steps to light, smallest action, send 2-line timeline. She recorded the return, 9:17 miss, baseline, timeline steady. Noon was less elegant than usual. It was intact. On Friday, she read the log and noticed a person who returns, not a person who fails. That story fueled the next week more than any perfect run. Taste your mouth, bitter, neutral, name it without judgment. Judgment is a solvent that erodes streaks. Naming is glue. The social loop is how you make environment work for you over time. It has 2 parts, the witness and the ping. The witness is a person or small group that receives your noon sentence or 1 breadcrumb from your spotlight once a day, 2 lines max. The ping is a recurring, low-friction check-in where you exchange a gate phrase or a clean ask rehearsal. The loop is not accountability theater with charts and shaming. It's a rhythm of being seen in the behavior you want to keep. The human nervous system regulates better when it expects to be seen without being judged. Choose a witness you trust, 1 friend, 2 colleagues, a sibling, and decide the channel. Keep it boring. Boring builds. Maya and Ravi started a witness text. At 11:55 they sent 1-line noon sentences. Chest even, decided scope first. Ribs tight, still did the draft. Some days the line was a repair loop they ran. They didn't comment unless asked. Once a week they had a 10-minute ping to practice a clean ask they dreaded. It wasn't inspiring. It was consistent. Their mornings stopped being fragile because they didn't have to carry the weight alone. By noon, the knowledge that another brain knew helped each of them hold to the gate when it mattered. Feel the farthest sound in your space, then the nearest. That widening is what healthy social connection feels like internally, more room, less static. The loop should feel like that, space with a touch of structure. Edge case kit time. This is a mini bundle you keep in your bag or notes app for travel, sickness, kids, or schedule chaos. It contains 5 moves: anchor swap, travel trio, late start salvage, quiet alarm, and joy pocket. Anchor swap means if your usual anchor can't happen, no window, no card, you substitute with body anchors. 1-4-4-6 staring at a fixed point, 3 fingertips pressed into your thigh, then smallest action verbalized softly. Travel Trio compresses your morning to light, water, and 1-minute movement in any order. then 1 today triangle line. Late start salvage says if you wake at 10:30, you still build a tiny dawn container, 1 breath, 1 line, 1 step. Then you schedule a 2-minute focus field at 11:15. Quiet alarm is a vibration at 11:20 labeled return bell that cues a reset, replace, resume, or a ladder rung if needed. Joy Pocket is 1 micro delight you can trigger in 20 seconds. Smell from a travel-size scent, a song sample, a photo that opens your chest. You pair it with the baseline to let the nervous system remember mornings can feel good even when narrow. Hana's edge case kit kept her sane during a supplier strike. She woke in the dark to inventory calls. No window, no card, anchor swap. Stare at the microwave clock light, 1 breath, 3 fingertip presses, smallest step, right, order filter baskets, then do it. Travel trio before dawn at the cafe, light from the storefront, water, 10 squats, 1 triangle line. Joy Pocket, a 20-second inhale from the bag of roast she loved, eyes closed. It wasn't pretty. It was steady enough. Noon arrived to a barista who didn't leak panic into the line. Notice your fingers now. Rub thumb against index and feel the ridges. Press the pads into your thigh, feel the pressure. Sensory anchors make the kit real. Your body does not need an airport or a perfect couch to cooperate. The Solar Check is your weekly review that keeps the whole system pointed at something brighter than inbox wins. It takes 12 minutes on a consistent day, Sunday evening, Monday dawn. 4 steps in order. Witness the weather, harvest, tighten, aim. Witness the weather. Write 3 lines naming last week's emotional climate in concrete terms. Windy, proud during Tuesday, boundary, foggy Thursday. Harvest, list 3 moments where the frameworks worked. Anchor, then align on bus, clean ask saved 45 minutes, glycemic glide prevented crash. Tighten, choose 1 friction to reduce in the environment, move phone charger farther, prefill water, tape gate phrases to lamp. Aim, write a 9-word North Star for the week, steady tone under pressure while finishing Q3 deck. The Solar Check recalibrates expectation and makes wins visible so your RAS hunts for more. It's called Solar because it points you at cycles, not sprints. Noor's Solar Check became a family ritual. Sunday night, soft lamp, her kid drawing at the table. Weather, stormy Tuesday, bright Thursday. Harvest, Optic-Flow Walk, eased afternoon, repair window used. Tighten, set 11:20, return bell chimes softer. Aim, teach with patience through tech week. Monday felt less like a cliff and more like a road. By noon each day she had proof that the week's sun was where she said it would be. Feel the chair under you. Shift an inch and note the new contact. Like the Solar Check, small adjustments change the whole feel without needing a grand gesture. Because seasons change us, build a clause called winter-summer. In your Solar Check, when daylight or obligations shift, you rewrite baseline and dials slightly. Winter baseline might include warm light for 5 seconds because mornings are dark. Summer dial might add a 5-minute outside step because dawn is generous. You don't cling to a ritual that fit a different sky. You refit the clothes to the weather and keep the person. Rafi moved countries for a quarter. New time zone, Ramadan fasting, different sunrise. His winter-summer clause turned caffeine timing, wake loop timing, and glycemic glide into observant versions. Baseline stayed baseline, the dials changed. He stayed himself in a new light. Sensation check. Let your eyes soften as if you're looking through the screen. Inhale, hold, exhale long. You're practicing flexibility as a feeling, not just a concept. That feeling is what you'll need at 6:05 when a toddler decides tomorrow starts now. The social loop has a second gear called the micro circle. When you're ready, you invite 2 or 3 people to share assets, a shared spotlight sentence channel, a weekly solar check snapshot, and a rotating 5-minute demo of one tool used that week. The point isn't performance, it's transference. You learn faster when you see someone else breathe, ask, or repair in the wild. Keep it short. End with a micro thank for one behavior you want the circle to repeat. Over months, this circle becomes a quiet force against drift. Kaito invited Mina and Jess. Fridays at 12:05, one tool demo, one solar line. Jess showed the 2-question gate using color decisions. Mina showed a repair loop with a mentor that avoided a crater. Kaito showed the return log and the wrist wash bowl by his desk. No one was saintly, everyone was steadier. Noon at the end of those Fridays felt like landing together instead of alone. One more layer to make durability real, the identity ledger. It's a list you update during your solar check with sentences that start, "I am the kind of person who," followed by verifiable behaviors you performed, not traits you wish you had. "I am the kind of person who writes a clean ask at 11:05. I am the kind of person who returns after a slip. I am the kind of person who protects a buffer brick and uses it." You read the ledger when perfectionism tries to erase a week with one miss. Your nervous system believes self-statements that have receipts. The ledger is receipts. Dina wrote, "I'm the nurse who breathes before replying." She read it Thursday after a night with alarms. The sentence wasn't an affirmation floating above her life. It was a description rooted in last week. She breathed. She replied. The ledger grew. Noon softened. Check your breath. Is it higher than before? Let it drop one floor. Feel your sternum rise, shoulders fall. Place one hand on ribs, one on low back, and feel both move. Identity is written through these sensations too. The person who does these small things becomes the person who expects to. There's a risk in durability work, turning systems into superstition. You'll be tempted to believe that missing a solar check curses the week, or that changing a dial breaks magic. Remember the human clause, you're building, not auditioning. If a week goes sideways, run a light solar, one line for weather, one harvest, one tighten, one aim. If travel trashes 3 mornings, run the edge case kit and call it a kept promise. The superstition is the enemy. Rituals are servants. Keep them in their place. A story from a hotel with blackout curtains and an air conditioner that hummed like a tired bee. Nina flew for a deposition. Jet lag, late check-in, a 7:30 a.m. prep. She woke at 6:58, brain cotton. Old Nina would have declared defeat and sprinted into anxiety. New Nina ran late start salvage, 1446 staring at the curtain hem, one line, North Star, precise calm, 3 steps to the window for artificial light, smallest action, open the file to page 1 and read the first paragraph out loud. She texted her witness a noon sentence at 11:55. Mind a bit foggy, ran salvage, precise enough. In the evening she ran a light solar, weather narrow but okay. Harvest, salvage worked. Tighten, pack card on pillow. Aim, precise, calm again. The week bent toward usable. Noon never became a referendum on self-worth. Sensation again. Drag your fingertips slowly across your palm and feel the tiny ridges. Find the farthest sound, then the nearest. Taste the air and name it. These are beads you've been threading. Durability is a necklace made of beads you don't mind touching every day. To keep the long game humane, add the Sabbath switch. One morning a week, you flip the gate toward joy. You still run a baseline so identity holds, but your North Star is delight or rest. The smallest wise action might be walk without metrics, make coffee slowly, read 2 pages of a novel. You're not optimizing, you're feeding the creature who carries all the systems. The Sabbath switch keeps resilience from becoming a job. It reminds your RAS that mornings are a place to live, not a problem to solve. Hannah's Sabbath switch fell on Wednesdays after the early delivery. Baseline breath, line, North Star, notice scent, 3 steps to light, smallest action, grind beans by hand. She stood at the window and watched the street wake. No timers, no playlists, no metrics. Noon arrived to a person with a small, secret glow. That glow carried farther than any checklist. There is one more piece for weeks where life throws a punch you can't roll with, a loss, an illness, a heartbreak. Then you run the floor, not the baseline. The floor is simply breath and one kind sentence to yourself. In for 4, hold out for 6. You are here, you are allowed to be tender. No triangle, no steps to light if light feels like too much. The floor honors the nervous system's need to heal. You tell your identity, we didn't vanish, we breathed. When the wave recedes, you rebuild the baseline and then the dials. This is how systems serve humans, not the other way around. Suri used the floor after a week of fevers and endless laundry. Her solar check was a single line, weather, hard. Her ledger held place. The following week she wrote, I'm the person who breathed and returned. That sentence, small and honest, carried more power than any perfect morning she'd ever staged. Now bring this into tonight and tomorrow. Tonight, write your baseline in 10 words. List 3 dials you like. Set a streak shield note in your return log. Don't break twice. Elastic wins count. Record the return. Ask one person to be your witness for a week. Offer to be theirs. Pack your edge case kit. A card, a tiny scent, a song snippet, a note with travel trio. Schedule a solar check. Add the Sabbath switch to a morning you choose. Feel your body do 1 rehearsal. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Whisper your baseline, touch your card or imagine the card. Take 3 slow steps toward imagined light. Name the smallest wise action you could do in the first 90 seconds tomorrow. Picture a stumble, late start, sharp message, spilled milk, and see yourself run, don't break twice. See your thumb write a 6-word return. Watch your witness receive a 2-line noon sentence and say nothing except a simple saw this. Feel the chest loosen a centimeter. That centimeter is durability. The identity shift here is the quietest and the strongest. You are no longer trying to prove you can have a perfect morning. You are becoming the person who returns to a good enough morning again and again until good enough becomes natural and sometimes becomes beautiful. You are the awareness that builds baselines and turns dials, that shields streaks from shame, that loops with other humans for steadiness, that carries a kit for weather, that checks the sun once a week and aims toward it. You don't flinch when life tilts the board. You adjust your feet and keep your hands on the wheel. Close part 11 with the ceremony that will carry you into the last chapter. Place 1 hand on your ribs and 1 on your lower back. Breathe and feel both move. Look toward the brightest place you can find. Whisper, baseline holds, dials flex. Choose your witness. Set the quiet alarm. Write 1 sentence for your solar check. Then ask yourself a single question in a kind voice. What would make this durable? Whatever answer arrives, move the cable, tape the card, invite the friend, do the smallest wise version of it in the next 60 seconds. That's how mornings become a habit you can't shake. That's how noon keeps finding you steady. The last stretch of morning is the moment you choose what kind of person walks into the afternoon. Not a superhero, not a martyr, a steady builder who keeps promises to their nervous system. Part 12 is your capstone. a single operating loop you can run for years, a closing ritual that fits in 60 seconds, and a way to turn ordinary days into evidence that your identity is now set on rails. You'll stitch everything you've learned into one sequence, the Keystone Loop, wrap it with an identity practice called the mirrorless review, and seal it with the closing bell. You'll leave with a sentence that outlives pep talks and a felt sense you can call on when the light hits the desk at 11:59. This is not about finishing strong, it's about finishing true. Begin where you are. Notice the exact temperature of the air crossing your upper lip. Feel the weight of your tongue and the soft pull at the base of your skull. Let the exhale extend until you hear the faintest whisper, like you're fogging a window. Your body is listening. It remembers every small ceremony you've taught it. Dawn container, 3x3 morning stack, anchor then align, focus field, elastic hour, inner coach switch, 3-angle reframe, boundary bell, glycemic glide, oxygen, posture pair, Optic-Flow Walk, RAS spotlight, sanctuary room, gratitude in shadow, clean ask, repair loop, reset, replace, resume, emotional alchemy ladder, noon map, 1-degree lever, signal sweep, 90-second verify, noon seal, baseline and dials, streak shield, social loop. The names are handles, the handles are on one door. The Keystone Loop opens it. The Keystone Loop runs in 4 verbs: ground, point, move, register. Ground anchors your physiology, point sets your attention, move chooses the smallest wise action, register captures one line of evidence. You already own each component. Now they live as one breath-long reflex you can run at 6:05 or 11:55. Ground is 1446 with the oxygen, posture pair, sternum lifted an inch, shoulders down, double inhale, long exhale. Point is the today triangle distilled into 2 words from your North Star: calm clarity, kind focus, clean boundaries, and a quick RAS spotlight. Today, notice shoulders dropping, one clear question, one person who eases. Move is your smallest wise action placed within 20 seconds. Open the file, bold the 3 points, send the clean ask, walk 3 steps to light, drink the water. Register is a 6-word return log line or a single noon sentence fragment written now. Grounded, asked clean, draft started, or reset, clarity question, path clear. That's it. 4 verbs, 10 to 90 seconds. The loop is portable power. Story to make it breathe. Arif stands by a window that smells faintly of rain and bus exhaust. It's 11:18, a client writes, "Need scope change now." He feels the heat lift into his face. Old Arif spins. New Arif runs Keystone. Ground 2 size, long exhale, shoulders low. Point, calm clarity, spotlight for one clear question. Move, which outcome matters more by Friday, A or B? I can lock one by 4 p.m. send. Register, 11:19 loop, ground ask choose. Noon comes as a room with air in it. No victory parade, a person at their post. Taste the air in your own mouth, maybe nothing. Name it anyway. The act of naming is point in micro. When you can name, you can aim. When you can aim, you can act without the tremor that comes from pretending you don't care. The mirrorless review is how you close the morning without judging your face. You don't open a camera or a calendar to ask if you were good. You look at the world you touched and the body you used. 3 questions, no adjectives. What moved? What mattered? What did my body learn? Moved, draft intro, repair sent. Mattered, scope clarity held. Body learned, shoulders low equals kinder tone. You whisper it during the buffer brick or write it on a napkin. The point is to train your brain to seek evidence of process, not approval. Over weeks, these tiny reviews build a quiet spine that doesn't wobble when no one claps. In a conference room that hums like an old refrigerator, Layla runs the review at 11:42. Moved, revised drawing, contractor cleanup plan, mattered, the city note with dates. Body learned, physiological sigh before the call made her voice warm instead of iron. She pours water, touches the window light, and feels the sternum rise and settle. Noon used to be a cliff. Now it's a landing. Your senses are the switches that make this durable. Press your feet into the floor and feel the pressure spread from heel to toe. Roll your shoulders forward, up, back, and let them fall until your collarbones feel like horizontal lines drawn with a steady hand. Hear the farthest sound, then the nearest. You are telling your midbrain the world has depth. Depth is the enemy of panic. You are the awareness that widens, then chooses. 2 capstone microdrills finalize your craft. The 1 breath oath is a sentence you attach to ground. After the 446, you whisper, "I will choose the smallest wise action." You're not promising brilliance. You're promising movement. Your nervous system believes oaths that are actionable. The future receipt is the register that makes identity stick. You write 1 line addressed to your later self with a concrete outcome they can receive. At 1:00, you'll find the doc open to page 2, or you'll find the email sent and the token put away. You're mailing yourself a piece of inertia. Later, you open the mailbox and momentum is already inside. Nor adopted the future receipt during a week of tech hiccups that felt like gnats. At 11:53 she wrote, "You'll find the lab cart set and 2 clean prompts on the board." She placed the markers, set the cart, and walked to lunch. At 12:58, future Nor smiled at past Nor's letter. That smile is fuel you can't fake. Feel your jaw loosen and your tongue rest heavy. The body exhaled. Identity hears exhalations louder than affirmations. You could tell yourself you're steady 1,000 times, or you could feel 1 long breath and send 1 future receipt. The latter wins. The last framework is the identity drift guard. Drift is the slow slide back into mornings run by habit and other people's urgency. The guard is 3 sentences you speak aloud once a week and 1 you whisper daily. Weekly, during your solar check, I am the kind of person who begins on purpose. I am the kind of person who repairs quickly. I am the kind of person who protects noon for clarity. Daily, in a whisper before the Keystone Loop, we are building, not auditioning. These sentences are not charms, they're audits. If the behavior didn't happen last week, you adjust the system, not your worth. The drift guard keeps you from making religion out of routines or amnesia out of wins. Mina kept the drift guard in a calendar note. On a Monday she realized repairs quickly had been more theory than practice. She didn't scold. She added the 11:00 clarity minute and set a repair window reminder for the week. By Friday, her return log had 3 clean lines. She'd be proud to show a younger version of herself who thought professionalism meant never erring. Noon was kinder because the identity was honest. Sensation again. Tap 2 fingers lightly against your sternum and feel the echo spread. That tap is your private gavel. Court is adjourned. Work continues. You'll close your morning with the closing bell. It's not a noise you make. It's a shape you recognize. 3 beats in 30 seconds, done in this order: seal, savor, step. Seal is your noon seal sentence. We begin at 1:00 with calm speed on X, and the 1 small prep act. Savor is 3 seconds of sensory gratitude, palm on warm mug, light on the floor, the way your shoulders hang lower than they used to by this time. Step is the micro walk to light or water, plus a single exhale that is longer than you feel like making. This bell tells your system, morning is complete. Completions are how humans rest, even when they keep going. Hana rings the bell with a quiet choreography that no customer sees. She wipes the counter slowly for one breath, places the tamp just so, whispers, 100, we reset grinder, talk to supplier, touches the doorframe with 2 knuckles, and takes 3 steps toward the window. The room looks the same. Hana does not. Noon receives a person who knows where their edges are and how to carry them with warmth. You may ask, what if the bell is interrupted? The answer is the same answer you've trained into every layer: elastic fidelity. If the phone rings, you run the bell inside the first sentence. Happy to help, give me 30 seconds to pull the file. That 30 seconds is seal saver, step done in motion. Rituals can move. They do not evaporate when the environment refuses to pause. Let's weave one last tapestry across a Thursday where everything tries to slip. You wake late. Baseline holds. 1 breath, 1 line, North Star, clean presence, 3 steps to light, smallest action, open deck. Trio plus in miniature. Focus field shrinks to 40 minutes. At 9:50, a sting email hits. Inner coach switch. You're here, 1 breath, 1 step. 3 angle reframe. Clean ask at 10:07. Glycemic Glide prevents the crash that would have made 10:45 a panic hour. At 11:05, you run the clarity minute and 90-second verify on a siren subject line. It's not a fire. Noon map at 11:10. 1 degree lever at 11:18. Signal sweep at 11:40. Repair loop for the note you sent too fast yesterday, and a micro thank to the person who met your boundary. Keystone Loop at 11:52 for the last wobble. Noon seal at 11:55 with the dock open and water poured. Closing bell, seal, saver, step. What the world sees is a person who seems lucky or unusually calm. What you know is that luck is built and calm is practiced. By noon, you aren't untouchable. You're available. That's better. Feel your feet. Press them down and watch tension drain from your calves like water leaving a basin. Feel the skin across your ribs as it widens on the inhale and settles on the exhale. Let your eyes soften toward the brightest thing in the room. You are here. You are the awareness, not the emotion, not the ping, not the ritual. You use the tools. The tools don't use you. You built a morning that locks in resilience, not because you never miss, but because you return. Over weeks, the returns add up to a personality that doesn't leak when the day leans. Over months, people will ask what changed. You will shrug and smile and say, I started taking the first 5 minutes seriously. They'll think you mean hustle, you'll mean kindness. Before we end, write one line to your future noon self. When you read this, your shoulders are low. Tape it where you'll see it or picture it in the sanctuary room's window. Tonight, set the pen and card. In the morning, run ground, point, move, register. At 11:00, run the clarity minute. At 11:55, seal and ring the bell. When you forget, return. When you drift, adjust the dial. When shame whispers audition, answer with building. At noon, notice. Notice that you've become the kind of person who doesn't need a crisis to access their best behavior. Notice that steadiness feels like freedom. One last breath together. In for 4, hold 4, out for 6. Shoulders low, jaw soft, ribs wide. The day is still noisy. You are still quiet in the way that matters. That quiet isn't silence, it's signal. You've tuned it. You'll tune it again tomorrow. That's how unstoppable is made.